in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show, live on Election Day morning. Make sure that you get out and vote today. It is a great day to be alive because we've got Big 12 power rankings. That's why you got out of it. You said it's Tuesday. It's Big 12 Power Rankings, and it's Big 12 Power Rankings on the Monty Show.
The Marty program.
Presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. You know, when you get in an accident, the Advocates recognize it's one of the worst days of your life. You don't need, questions about how are you going to pay your lawyers. No, what you need is clear, risk-free advice, and you don't ever need to reach into your pocket. That's what you get at the Advocates because you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. Talk to an injury attorney live online for free 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. I think we should just get right to another scandal in the NFL. It is shocking that again last night the Kansas City Chiefs cheated their way to a win on national TV in front of everybody. How long does Juwan Taylor get to false start before they ever actually throw a flag? And this time, I am a bitter, broken man over it. It cost me nothing. I just hate the Chiefs. And my point is, they're in overtime last night, marching down the field because Todd Bowles says it was too wet to go for two to win the game. Hey, you know what? You do you, Todd. Travis Kelce catches a pass after about the 57th false start by Juwan Taylor. And it's clearly a false start. And I know you're a Chiefs fan and you're going to defend them. But what I'm going to say is that is a false start every day of the week. Uh-huh. And he did it. I was watching the game last night. I stopped counting at 10. I'll be honest with you. I stopped counting at 10. I saw at least 10 times where the right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, Juwan Taylor, false started, which means he moved before the ball was snapped, and they simply did not call it. How do you explain it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like anything else in sports. I mean, whether it's a pitcher abusing a strike zone, or anything else, man. I think, that last play that you're talking about, I believe that officials see it and they make a decision on whether they're going to call it after it's been determined whether it was consequential to the play or not.
And what Roger Goodell told them to call before the game started.
Right, because it's all scripted, obviously. We all know that. But anyway, the point is that the last play of the game, there's no question by the book it's a false start. He's starting early. He did it the whole game. There's no doubt about it.
Do you at least admit that the officials are helping the Chiefs? Yeah, I mean, will you finally... You have fought this all year long. And at some point, whether it is rectal or otherwise, you're going to get on board with this idea that the NFL officials are helping the Kansas and play the poverty program music. Play it. I'm here for it. You're going to get on board at some point when the Chiefs are handed a three-peat. Because I think that's what all of this is about. They want the Chiefs to three-peat. They want Swelsey and Taylor and Smash Cell Phone Guy at the Super Bowl. I am telling you, you can't even argue it anymore.
Smash Cell Phone Guy. I'm not denying that he false starts every time. That's not the conversation, though. The conversation is how often are they going to call it? People want to call it more. Okay. Fine. That's cool. I mean, this is an age-old sports debate. We have this in the NBA, Major League Baseball, everywhere. It's as simple as What are you not calling? And the officials are not calling Juwan Taylor
or anything against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are. I could be wrong. I don't watch Chiefs football at all costs. I try to avoid it, but I watched the game last night. I don't believe the Chiefs were penalized for anything, and I actually think the refs. Did you see the refs run over there and start kissing Patrick's ankle when he somehow injured his ankle last night? They were over there rubbing it and
right, massaging it,
massaging it,
right,
and
all right.
I it was an incredibly frustrating end to that game.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Chiefs to lose. I want the Chiefs to never win another game. And that Juwan Taylor false start on the play that essentially won the game.
Yeah, but again, the false start didn't have anything to do with the play. That's the problem.
But it's yes, it does, because it should have been stopped. They should have been backed up. They should. Patrick Mahomes should have never thrown that ball to Travis Kelce. They should have thrown a flag, and it should be a penalty, and it never is. And it is. Will you at least admit
if they throw
that
the flag and you back them up, then they kick a field goal to win the game?
Okay, great. Make them kick the field goal in a rainstorm. I'm happy with that. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that I am wrong.
Yeah, I just think that people get upset because it's the Chiefs.
And they cheated.
And they didn't cheat. The officials helped them along the way.
I'm just being a red ass about this. I am. It's as plain and simple to me as. Do you believe the NFL is helping the Chiefs?
Yes.
I do.
Why would they not?
You can't tell me that the NFL is not helping the Kansas City Chiefs.
Why would the NFL want to hold the Chiefs back at all?
I guess it's
the best story in the NFL. It's the most relevant thing. Yeah.
The Chicago Bears are no, they're not, actually. They still haven't fired Eberflus, by the way. Yeah, poverty program. Play the music. Dude, I'm the Bears. What about just taking significant action against the offensive coaching staff? Why don't we get crazy and do that?
Is this a Michigan conversation?
Yeah, seriously. Right? I mean, the Bears better not be stealing signs, because if they are, I don't even know.
You're still losing like that?
I don't even know what you do. All right, let's get in. Let's get it, because that's not the lead today, even though it should be the scam that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they win a three-peat, it'll be the most illegitimate three-peat in the history. It won't be, actually. It's fine. Let's get you a Pac-12 TV update, because I think this is a huge story. We've been talking about this for what feels like months and months with Pac-12 and Mountain West expansion. And I think it is very interesting that the Pac-12 has basically gone radio silent as they try to find themselves a new media rights distribution deal. And we have been working our sources behind the scenes here at the Monty Show, and we have a lot of good information for you this morning. I am told by sources high up in the TV industry that ESPN and Fox are having serious and substantive conversations with the Pac-12 about a TV deal that would essentially take all of the new Pac-12 sports, basketball and football, and stick and ball sports would be included in this. And every Pac-12 athletic endeavor, should a deal be struck, would be on ESPN Plus, and all football games that are in prime windows would be on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus as part of a reimagined relationship between the Pac-12 and the folks at ESPN. Fox would also be a player through FS1. No games, and I think this is really important to point out. I am told that Fox is not in a position where they would be willing to put major games in prime windows on the big Fox. That is not what they're talking about. They are talking about FS1, ESPN2, and ESPN Plus. And if those are the main players, I think that is a very solid deal. But of course, this is going to come down to the money. And we know the relationship between the Pac-12 and ESPN has always been filled with acrimony over the fact that ESPN is not willing to pay a penny more than they have to land Pac-12 rights. The obvious advantage in this situation is that ESPN does not have to produce those games. This would be a scenario where ESPN human beings would be working the controls in the Pac-12 facilities in San Ramon, California. So all of the infrastructure that is technical, the equipment, the trucks, would be controlled by the Pac-12. The humanity side of it, the directors and producers, would be provided by ESPN and Fox. this seems like a deal that makes a lot of sense if they can come together on the numbers. I am told those numbers are between $8 and $10 million. On the high side, $10 million. I am told negotiations have never eclipsed the $10 million per school per year number that many have talked about, because there's talk out there, obviously, that the Pac-12 is looking for $15 million a year. I don't believe that they ever get close to that number. I am told, in fact, that this deal that would include ESPN and Fox is a $8 to $10 million deal. And if that is the case, Jake, I think that is a very solid deal for a G5 conference.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously it's a step that the Pac-12 needs to take, to reach full legitimacy. I mean, I think if you can have a deal with ESPN and Fox, like, obviously that's what you're looking for. I think that it'd be interesting to see if, as part of this for the Pac-12's cause, if they still were interested in a streaming portion now that you would have ESPN Plus. Obviously, I would be shocked if because when you do a deal with ESPN that includes ESPN Plus and basically, you get that full package from them, you're part of that agreement is you're not going to Amazon Prime. You're not going to any other option. So to me, I look at this for the Pac-12 and I say, yeah, ESPN's a top dog in the space. If you can get it done, that's great. That's obviously ideal. But I think that, it's a long road, right? Like, let's say you did get 8 to 10 million. Okay, cool. That's obviously a starting point. Now from there, we would need to see, okay, what's your plan for these schools to thrive? Because that's been the question the whole time. If you're going to go into this new conference and you're going to, try to rip the Mountain West apart, and we've been through this whole thing, what was the point of it? What was the selling point for these new schools? Because like schools like Boise State, I guess you upgraded by going to the Pac-12. I guess. I mean, the Pac-12 is going to be a G5 conference, obviously. It's not going to be a power conference, if you will. So I'm still trying to understand what the upgrade is, because $3 million a year or $2 million a year or whatever it was for Boise State is not really that much of an upgrade. And I'm not really sure how you're getting more access than you already had. So that's what I'm struggling with for Boise State specifically. But, it remains to be seen. But I do think it's good news that there's conversations with ESPN happening.
Yeah, I think when you look at the situation in the Pac-12, this would be a very good deal for the Pac-12. I don't have an idea of how likely that deal is or how close that deal is. It seems like, the sources that I spoke to believe that deal could happen. It is going to be a matter of how much money is the Pac-12 willing to accept in this scenario, because I think it is very clear that the one thing that ESPN does not have right now is that late window. You have that to, I guess, a certain extent with the Big 12, but that is on the mothership, ESPN. You look at, for instance, this weekend, you get BYU and Utah in one of the biggest games of the college football season so far. That's 8:15. That is ESPN. Like, it is everything that ESPN wants in, that Pac-12 after dark, scenario. So my feeling is that you have a framework of a deal that could happen. Now you're going to have to come back to the money. And I think one of the interesting things that you have to think about here, if this deal is happening, what does this say to the Memphis, Tulane, South Florida AAC member that you were courting? Because this is not a better deal than what the AAC has.
Right.
It would not be, in my opinion, enough of a deal to say, hey, yeah, let's jump. I certainly do not believe that. And again, I want to make this clear. I was told that the reaffirmation of membership that those universities and every university in the AAC agreed to is a binding agreement. So I'm telling you, it'd be very difficult for AAC members to make that jump anyway. But I go back to what Dr. Ed Scott, the athletic director at Memphis, said, which was they were lowballed by the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we are all aware that the Pac-12 knows they're not getting $15 million a year. I think that is very clear. If they can get 8 to 10, that makes that a very solid option for other members to join. I think you look at the other side of the coin here, what would a deal like that mean to the Mountain West? I think it breathes life into the Mountain West, because if they had gotten, in my opinion, if they had gotten $15 million from ESPN and Fox, that would have been a death blow. But if you are $8 million to $10 million on the high side, I don't think there's any question that you're in a position where you can survive a deal like that if you're the Mountain West. And I think that gives you, it actually, in my opinion, one of my guys in TV yesterday who I was double confirming this story through was also telling me that is a real opportunity for the Mountain West to go out and negotiate off of that deal. Because the Mountain West, I don't think GCU is any small ad for the Mountain West. And it was funny, we were watching this press conference and watching some of the highlights of the energy that was at GCU last night. And it was impressive. It was, if you've never been to a GCU basketball game and you have the opportunity, you should go. It is one of the most entertaining venues and atmospheres.
Yeah.
And I did not think that it was coincidental that Jerry Colangelo went out of his way to say that they had been at GCU talking to Gloria Nevarez for a number of years, predating her time at the Mountain West. So you may say, well, what has that got to do with anything? Well, it tells you Gloria Nevarez has long-standing relationships. She creates relationships. She's likable. People want to do business with her. And it wound up, in my opinion, saving the financial viability of the Mountain West, because GCU is going to the NCAA tournament every year in basketball. They're good at stick and ball sports. They have a really strong athletic department. Like, it's everything that you want. And I think that when you look at the welcome that Gloria Nevarez got at GCU last night, I mean, you had fans with cutouts of her you had Lopes fans jumping up and down.
Yeah, they showed up. There's no question about it.
It's an incredible environment.
Yeah.
That to say, this is a very important moment in time for the Pac-12. And
yeah.
I think if they can land this deal, I do think it's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely breathes life into the conference. No question about it. I think it would be a solid deal. I think Pac-12 fan will probably tell you, oh, this is an incredible deal, amazing. I don't agree with that. I think that it's a solid deal. It's a deal that you need to get done to solidify your conference and your conference's future, obviously. So 8 to 10 a year is a really nice number for a conference of that stature and of that level. Yep. And the question will be, how much viewership can that conference pull in that type of TV setup? Because again, if you're on ESPN2, I can tell you right now, and I think this does matter in today's viewership age, on YouTube TV, it'll just automatically pop up. If you're watching YouTube TV on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, and there's Boise State game on, Pac-12 Boise State game on, that will pop up based on your viewership habits. YouTube TV tracks that. They know what you like to watch, so they're going to show you programming that fits into what you've been watching most of the time. So for me, on the homepage of YouTube TV, I get the 4-box multi-view of the college football games that are going on. I also get a couple of different options, CBS Sports Network, ESPN2, like that all just populates for me. So for the Pac-12, that's why I think this is a good option, because most people nowadays, and I know there's still a segment of TV viewership that is cable and DirecTV and that more original feel,
right.
But I think most people are using things like YouTube TV. And if that's the case, which I believe it to be, then if you can be on ESPN2 and you can be on ESPN Plus, I think that's better for you than being on the CW or being on Prime. You know, that's definitely an improvement. All
right, a little breaking news to get to before we get your comments on the Pac-12 TV deal. All of our breaking news presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty. You deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account, they'll give you 50 more. The Detroit Lions are acquiring Browns defensive end Darius Smith in a massive deal. It is a deal, a 2025 fifth-round pick and a 2026 sixth-round pick go to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are giving Zadarius Smith away.
Yeah.
Lions get Zadarius Smith from the Browns in a 2026 7th-round pick. This is a huge deal from the Browns. It tells you they're all in on a run to the Super Bowl. And obviously with Aiden Hutchinson going down with that gnarly broken leg a couple of weeks ago, this is a nice little bounce back ad. I think Zadarius Smith has a lot to offer. He has a lot left in the tank. I think he's one of the elite pass rushers in this league. Jake, I love this move for the Detroit Lions.
100%. And I think that, one of the big things that the Lions have struggled with in postseason football is getting to the quarterback. One of their biggest problems last year was, hey, we would get ahead and then the lead would fizzle because we couldn't get pressure on the quarterback and we had to essentially play
big plays.
We had to give up those big plays because the quarterback had time. And even if we were playing, our dime or nickel package where we have extra DBs on the field, that's still not good enough because quarterbacks in the NFL are so good. So I think this move tells you how serious the Lions are. And I do think that it's a tip of the cap to Dan Campbell and that staff, because those guys have that team going. And to me, they play football in a way that it is the right way to play the game. You're physical, you run the football,
yes.
Like you are winning games through fundamental football. It's not just like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is getting help from the refs and running around, and that's how the Chiefs win games. No, this is, hey, we're moving guys, creating holes, we're playing defense.
Yeah.
So I like this move a lot.
Yeah, this puts Detroit in a really good spot. I mean, I think the Lions are obviously the best team in the NFC. Even without Aiden Hutchinson, I think we've seen that. I think adding Zadarius Smith from the Browns to that Detroit Lions front, I mean, makes them even more formidable.
Yeah.
He's not Aiden Hutchinson, but nobody's Aiden Hutchinson. And I think when you look at what this does for the Lions, I do think this puts them in the mix. Now, I think this puts them head and shoulders above anybody else in the NFC. I think the NFC West is so weak. And I think that the 49ers have so many injury issues. I don't even know now that there really is a 1A, 1B. I think this makes the Detroit Lions the Super Bowl favorites in the NFC. And I would think that this pits us to, who will the Lions face? And it's the Ravens or the Chiefs, as we've talked about for the last several weeks on the show. So this is a really good deal for the Detroit Lions. And I feel like they gave up pretty much nothing to get him.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Lions acquires Zadarius Smith this morning, according to Adam Schefter at ESPN, from the Cleveland Browns. Big pickup. We'll talk about that as the week goes on. But let's get your reaction in here to the Pac-12. Our sources are telling us that ESPN and Fox are back at the table with the Pac-12 in a deal that essentially gives the Pac-12 the ability to go out and expand further. It's going to be a real question as to where they go to do that. I think you're already seeing a lot of FCS level teams opting out because of the money that is involved in the NIL settlement. And I think we talked about it last week with the elimination of Olympic sports, like who really wants to compete. And if you are a university like Sacramento State, who is, basically outwardly and blatantly begging for membership in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good for the Pac-12? I don't think that that's where you can go. I also think if you get a Fox and ESPN Plus deal, and again, our sources are telling us on TV that ESPN and Fox and the Pac-12 have talked about a scenario where you would have Pac-12 games, including football, basketball, stick and ball sports as well, women's and men's basketball. You would have that on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and FS1. This is not a deal for the big Fox. That makes all the sense in the world because during football season and during basketball season, Fox no longer needs the basketball inventory, but I think wants to be able to pull that one big game. Let's say San Diego State and Boise State are, the two best teams in the conference, and you're playing a game in February that could determine that. Well, sure, you want to have that. And if you're ESPN, you want to have the ability to put a Pac-12 conference championship game in championship week,
mm-hmm.
which they run every single March. So this deal makes a lot of sense. That's why I feel pretty good about saying I'd be surprised if this deal has financial legs if it doesn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make this clear. I don't have a sense of how close it is. I'm not saying this deal is happening tomorrow or a year from tomorrow. I don't have a sense to timeline on this, but I think it is very interesting that ESPN Plus, and FS1 are back at the table with the Pac-12. That tells me, the other thing I think is really important here, that tells me that the Pac-12 is willing to give in a little bit, if you will, is willing to be pliable in negotiations, because they were not at all pliable previously in negotiations.
Yeah.
Back in that, hey, we want $50 million per school.
We value ourselves the same
disaster.
thing as the SEC.
Exactly right. So this tells me maybe is this a sign that the Pac-12 is bending and changing their ways a little bit?
Well, I think what it's a sign of is that, but I think if we go one step deeper, I think it's a sign that, the Pac-12 and its leadership, Teresa Gould and company, they recognize that this is something that has to happen, and for it to happen, they're going to have to acquiesce, and they're going to have to be pliable, and they're going to have to be, they're going to have to come to the table and meet in the middle. And I think that's the hard part. And I think, maybe this is a thing it's kind of like a lesson learned based on what happened last time. The reason you're here is because you weren't pliable last time. So your conference melted down and you couldn't provide value to your member institutions. So now they're in the Big 10 and the Big 12. I mean, maybe that's what this is. Maybe it's just, hey, we know this needs to happen. We'd rather be on ESPN on a slightly smaller deal than maybe more money, but on the CW. So I just think that I think that the Pac-12, they're trying to find the best way to be seen by the most people. And again, I still maintain, let's say this deal did get done and this was all laid out. Only then can you start to talk about how are we actually going to become profitable? Because even if you do this deal, I don't think these schools are profitable off this amount of money.
No, and the biggest issue will again be, will the Pac-12 be competitive in basketball? Will you put half of your league starting in 2026? Will you put half of your league in the NCAA tournament? Because that's all that matters. You've got to be able to have a league that not only gets into the tournament, but can win tournament games. Gonzaga absolutely does that for you. They've shown that, and I don't think that changes. Can you win tournament games? And can you put half your league into the tournament? I think that's a huge question mark with this group of universities. Boise State's not a basketball school. San Diego State, as much as they have not been, they're not a football school. That's a basketball school right now. You look at the basketball brand, and I think, again, to the point about is the Pac-12 changing, I think that this is, and I don't want to make too much out of this, but I think this is an indication that the Pac-12 is evolving and changing the way they do business. And I may be reading too much into this, but you're courting basketball brands. You're bringing in broadcast partners and media rights partners that are basketball heavy, who can help you grow your footprint and your reach in basketball. I think one of the bigger questions here is the Pac-12 better off on ESPN Plus or Amazon Prime Sports as a streaming partner? I think this is a huge question. Think about you as somebody that watches sports. Where are you more likely to go for sports streaming? Amazon Prime Sports or ESPN Plus? I'll be honest with you. For me, it's ESPN Plus. It's on my phone. It's on my iPad. It's on my TV. It's everywhere I am. I can get whatever is streaming on ESPN Plus. And if you're Kevin, the great basketball or football prospect, and you live in North Carolina, but you're going to go to the Pac-12 to play football or basketball, and mom and grandma and all your high school friends want to watch you, they can all get ESPN Plus. It's more affordable and it's more readily available to you on your phone. To me, that's why this is showing that the Pac-12 has an understanding more now than ever of who they are and where they are. And if you're a fan of the Pac-12, I think this deal with ESPN and FS1, if it comes to fruition, I think this is a very good day, because I also think it's a day that shows you the Pac-12 is evolving as a business operator. And I've never been comfortable saying that about the Pac-12 conference, But if they are back at the table with ESPN, it tells me that they have added humility, that they have come off of this. We're the SEC, give us $50 million per school per year.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, sky's the limit for this conference.
Well, I think, it's funny, this conversation between Amazon Prime Sports and ESPN Plus is interesting because, you can do all the same things on Amazon Prime Sports that you can do on ESPN Plus, but the key difference is that ESPN Plus is known as, hey, this is a sports thing, all right? Like, we as people think, oh, something's streaming, or I'm on the go, I'm at Costco doing my shopping, where should I go? Well, I'm not thinking Amazon Prime Sports isn't my first thought. Now, Thursday Night Football, my first thought, Amazon Prime Sports, right? But generally speaking, that's where I think the Pac-12, to your point, it is saying, like, hey, we need to be somewhere where we're going to be found as much as possible. And that's Amazon Prime Sports' biggest, fault right now, or biggest hurdle.
Yeah, you're not top of mind.
You're not top of mind. And I think reputationally speaking, Amazon is still known as a online store where you can buy things, not a distributor of sports content.
I don't know about that. I think when I think about sports, you're right. I don't think about Amazon. But Amazon hasn't branded themselves as your go-to for sports.
Right.
The NBA, the NFL can absolutely change that. Does a Pac-12 conference deal change that? No, I don't think it does. And I think this goes back to what you said the other week about President Cossey at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
She was right. As much heat as that lady took for saying, and our sources had told us that she was the one leading the line, saying she was uncomfortable with more than half of the inventory being on Amazon Prime Sports or streaming outside of ESPN Plus. I think she was absolutely right. I think that one of the things that is so clear is Anna Marie Cossey, the president at Washington, who's retiring, by the way, was never going to take a deal because the Pac-12 just simply needed a deal. She was going to do what was right for the University of Washington. And I think she absolutely, this vindicates her and takes away the villain tag that so many Pac-12 fans had put on President Cossey at Washington because of her alleged refusal to do a full-on streaming deal.
Well, I think too, like, people making her out to be a villain in that situation was just short-sighted. My thing at the time was that I just felt like, you can't be a 50% stream league. Like, that's not where folks are at, like consumers are at with watching sports at that time. But their bigger issue was how they viewed themselves. You wouldn't have to be talking about being a 50% stream league if you were willing to take 30 a year. And that was more of the issue. So, I don't know. And I don't think anybody really knows what any of those folks in the Pac-12 really felt like they were worth. I think that their biggest problem was they hired a bad commissioner who was in way over his head and thought, well, if we say we're worth something, we're worth it. And that's just not true in any scenario in life.
That's why marketing guys aren't great negotiators.
Yeah. Like, you just want to say,
it's the truth.
Like, literally, it might as well be a car sale, right? Like, oh, hey, I'm marketing guy, or I'm sales guy on the lot, and my marketing guy told me this is worth 80 G's and it's really only worth 50. Like, you can't do that. You can't just say you're worth something and then be shocked when ESPN doesn't want to pay you 50 a year. Like, you're
not worth what you say you're worth. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you.
Yeah. And so
it's the bottom line.
So I think this point that you're making about, hey, like, the Pac-12 in short is kind of coming to their senses a little bit, is kind of coming to the middle, is kind of acquiescing. Like, I think, I think that's spot on. I don't know what else it would be. I mean, they're clearly identifying, hey, the CW and Amazon Prime, that combination, while maybe it would pay us slightly more, maybe you'd get $2 million more a year per school out of them.
Yeah.
You're not getting the viewership out of those two platforms that you would at 8 to 10 a year out of ESPN2, ESPN Plus, Fox, FS1, Fox Sports 1, and the rest of it. So to me, I think this is smart out of the Pac-12, but I would caution Pac-12 supporter and fan to understand that, okay, even if this deal gets done, you're then going to have to talk about how else you're going to make money, because that's where the real fight starts.
Because I think And I know everybody loses their mind when I say this. You've got to build a basketball brand. It's why the ACC and the Big 12 are viable conferences, because they're not viable on the level of the Big 10 and the SEC in football, but they are far more viable than far more viable than the Big 10. The SEC is actually doing good things in basketball, but the ACC and the Big 12 are by far the two best basketball leagues in the country.
Right.
And we can sit here and we can argue back and forth about who's the better conference. And maybe Cooper Flagg's going to have a say about that. But I think you look at what is making the Big 12 and the ACC viable financially, it's basketball. And if you are the Mountain West with GCU last night, if you are the Pac-12 with with Gonzaga in 2026, dude.
By the way, quick sidebar. I don't know if anyone saw this. Gonzaga was playing Baylor.
Oh my God.
And the body, and I don't know what dude's name is. I'd have to go and look up the Baylor player. The absolute body that Baylor caught on Gonzaga is crazy. And
did you see the final score of that game?
Bro, I was looking at this, and that dunk was like the only positive situation for Baylor the whole night. But what's funny, and I think this kind of alludes to your point, what's funny is, what's anyone talking about out of that game? Not that Gonzaga put up 100 points
on Baylor,
who is
eighth in the country.
Not that Gonzaga put up 101. No.
That VJ Edgecombe dunked on Mark Few's kid.
We want to talk about Mark Few's kid and that dunk, which I agree was one of the best dunks I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
But this is my point. This is my point about the Pac-12 and your point. The Pac-12 has to turn themselves into a brand that people know as basketball and football, not just a bunch of football schools that happen to have a basketball court on campus. That's the difference.
Yep. All right. Let's get your thoughts in here. Again, let me just reset the floor for you. Obviously, we have big breaking news in the NFL. The Detroit Lions are acquiring Browns defensive end Zadarius Smith for pick swaps, essentially, and the Detroit Lions will cover the remaining $605,000 of Zadarius Smith's contract. Big move for them. I think that's a huge story this morning in the NFL. I think that solidifies the Detroit Lions as a Super Bowl contender, the Super Bowl contender in the NFC. Obviously, we have breaking news this morning. Sources telling us that the Pac-12 is back at the table with ESPN and Fox. The structure of this deal, as our sources have told us, is that ESPN will put Pac-12 programming, essentially building a Pac-12 After Dark platform, if you will, on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. The biggest late game window game will be on ESPN2. FS1 will be involved as well on a secondary level in football as one of the primary distributors in basketball. I am also told that ESPN Plus will be the home for just about every other sport in the Pac-12. This deal includes stick and ball sports. I'm told softball and baseball are a big part of that, which is huge because we saw, again, Title IX and the elimination of scholarships and roster spots across the sports landscape. It'll be interesting to see if this deal does come to fruition, how that is impacted, because I'm also told that ESPN has been advocating for more universities and conferences to put more content on ESPN Plus to make those secondary sports more viable. That ESPN and Disney have been a leader in championing secondary sports, including women's sports. I think ESPN is playing a very central role in trying to prop up the secondary sports in college athletics. And I think it is absolutely necessary. But make no mistake about it, if this deal comes to fruition, you are going to see the biggest games in Pac-12 football on ESPN2 and FS1. You're going to see the biggest Pac-12 basketball games on FS1 and ESPN Plus, because don't forget that FS1 has the lion's share of the Big 12 basketball deal. ESPN has the secondary shares of that, but they also have a lot of inventory on ESPN Plus. This deal makes a lot of sense. We are not certain to timeline, but we are told that this is an $8 to $10 million per school per year deal. It's a really good deal for the Pac-12. Your thoughts on that? And Zadarius Smith. Let's see who's first in this morning. DK for $5.
Yeah, DK.
Hey! It seems to me that the Pac-12 is negotiating on the false notion of being a power conference, and they're not. Well, I think, DK, this is a very interesting question. Because are you going to ESPN asking for $50 million a year per school? You're not. And I think the arrogance, and pick the adjective, the bravado, the arrogance, the narcissistic personality it would take to ask for $50 million a year. I do believe that there were some fall guys in the Pac-12, and they are no longer there.
Certainly.
Whether that be presidents, whether that be commissioners. I think that stubbornness in the lack of willingness to come off of your $50 million, that mentality is no longer there. And I maintain, now the proof is going to be in a deal getting done. I maintain that this signals, along with the Gonzaga signing, this signals a different day and a different way of doing business in the Pac-12. And what this also tells me is that Scott Barnes' voice is much louder than anybody wants to admit. Because these are savvy, practical business decisions, and that's not what we've ever seen from the leadership of the Pac-12, which is not different. Teresa Gould is not a different commissioner. She may have the title. She's been there since almost the founding of this conference.
Yeah.
Business had not been different.
It has a lot of shades of, hey, Teresa Gould is the commissioner in the face, and she's the one that's going to do like the interviews, and she's the one that's going to go on broadcast and do spots, and she's going to basically handle that public facing messaging, if you will, as commissioner. But I would agree that this does have Scott Barnes' fingerprints all over it. I mean, you look at how he handled the Oregon State program before the Pac-12 melted down and the progress they were making. Obviously, you know, all the progress they made with Reeser and just the direction Oregon State was going before the Pac-12 meltdown happened. And this same sort of, I mean, philosophy, I guess, you know, is coming through in this conversation. I can't stress enough that it's, yes, Teresa Gould is the old guard, but if it was the old guard still doing old guard things, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about an $8 to $10 million a year situation with ESPN and Fox.
More breaking news out of the NFL. Today is trade deadline day in the NFL. How many things is today? Today is the first day of the college football playoff rankings. Today is election day. Today is NFL deadline day. The Chicago Bears have traded running back Khalil Herbert to the Bengals for a 7th round pick. I mean, Herbert wasn't playing.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting reps. The Bengals need a running back.
What does this do for you?
It doesn't do much. It saves you some money. Obviously, not a lot. It's a smaller deal. But I think that we're starting to see some deals come through the pipeline. I think Micah Parsons is a name I'd be watching because there is a lot of smoke around Micah Parsons being traded today. And obviously, he can be an unrestricted free agent. He is somebody that is up for a contract with the Cowboys. The Cowboys don't have a lot of cap space now. They do not have a lot of winning doing now or anytime in the future. And I think it was a really interesting point yesterday. And I haven't said this out loud very often in my entire life. Colin Cowherd made a really interesting point yesterday. Is Jerry Jones willing to do what needs to be done to fix the Cowboys in the next 5 years? Because if Jerry keeps jerrying, if Jerry Jones keeps being Jerry Jones, they're going to be bad, not just for this year, but for the next 5 years. Because you are locked to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. And those aren't the worst guys to be locked to from a talent perspective. The problem is you have very little flexibility coming up because of the money that you owe to those two. Micah Parsons deal, bad money spent on this roster. Keep in your mind, the Dallas Cowboys, if they're going to win next year or in the future, in the next 5 years, they better make deals today.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get this twisted. And we have a power hour of NFL coming up for you here on the show. I am telling you now, that if the Dallas Cowboys don't make trades today, they're going to be bad for 3 to 5 years, because it is very difficult to make big money deals around the draft, which is the only other time that you generally will see big names get moved. In this league where you're seeing a lot of guys get bad contracts, there are very few Saquon Barkley deals that work out for both sides. And I think you're seeing the Dallas Cowboys trying not to get into that situation.
Right.
Because I think they're very worried if they trade Micah Parsons. And because it'll be to the AFC. They will not trade him in the NFC, in my opinion. If they trade him and he ends up in Buffalo, which is a place a lot of people have talked about, and Buffalo goes on to win a Super Bowl, Jerry Jones does not want to deal with that. He does not want to deal with that. I think he'd damn well rather trade him to the Miami Dolphins. I think he'd much rather trade Micah Parsons to a non-contending team. But why would a non-contending team do that?
Yeah, that's
they
the
wouldn't.
problem. Yeah, but I still see even the Buffalo Bills thing. I still think it's rich to say that Buffalo's a Super Bowl contender. They haven't shown us that. They've shown us they're an AFC championship
You
contender.
put Micah Parsons with Sean McDermott, and I think they're a Super Bowl contender. Because look at how successful Von Miller's been there.
Yeah.
He can't seem to stay on the field with injuries and suspension.
I think they need to prove they can beat the Ravens and the Chiefs. And yes,
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
I think Micah can help them. I agree. Sean McDermott is a defensive guy, no question about it. But we know this in the NFL. The standard rule of operation is one guy typically isn't going to change your whole, like the Lions with Za'Darius Smith. That trade makes sense because they're already really good. They were already pushing to be a Super Bowl contender.
And you weren't getting Micah Parsons.
So
that was not
Za'Darius makes a lot of sense, especially with the Aiden Hutchinson thing. For the Bills, to me, yes, it would make sense to go after Micah, but we still have to see Josh Allen not turn the football over repeatedly against the best teams in the NFL. We still got to see these different things. I think
what you're doing by going after Micah Parsons is you're bulletproofing Josh Allen's bad turnovers. Or at least that's the story you're telling yourself.
Right, sure.
I think that because they saw the impact. And who really is a contender in the AFC? The AFC, and I understand it's certainly deeper than the NFC. I don't have any doubt about that. I think there's really good football being played. But are the Pittsburgh Steelers really a contender? They're not. They're beating bad football teams. I honestly think it's Baltimore, Kansas City, and I think then third, it is Buffalo. I don't think anybody out west other than the Chiefs.
Totally agree.
The Chargers, not yet. Nope. The Raiders, come on. Who are we kidding? Are you telling me that there's anybody in the AFC right now? Houston looks shockingly bad right now. I'd have told you a year ago Houston's going to be good for 2 years. They look shockingly bad.
I mean, I think, and we'll get to your comments here in a second, but I think, you look at the AFC and yeah, it is Kansas City and Baltimore. And the problem is you have divisions that are just terrible in the AFC. I mean, you look at the AFC
look
South,
at Cincinnati
that's a terrible division.
Look at Cincinnati going to get a running back, which they have not replaced Joe Mixon in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah.
Now you go and get Khalil Herbert. Can he stay healthy? Because as a long-suffering, beaten down Chicago Bear fan, when Khalil Herbert's healthy, that cat can play.
Yeah, and I think you look at the Bengals, schedule, and what do you have this week? Well, you've got the Ravens, and this is a game you have to win,
or your season's over.
Yeah, or that's it. And again, you're going to their place, so you're going to need to run the football. And in this whole feel-good thing where you beat the Raiders, but you lost to the Eagles, you beat the Browns and the Giants, but you lost to the Ravens, like I'm just telling you guys, today is a day where you have to be unselfish as an owner and make the right football move, whether you're Jerry Jones or whether you're anybody else.
The Buffalo Bills, I think it's 7-2. And I get it. I think they're legitimate contenders. I think they are. Do they have the weapons in Buffalo?
Yeah, can Amari stay healthy?
Apparently not, because you look at he's out with this wrist injury, right? You look at the wide receivers and you don't have a guy like Keon Coleman's a nice little receiver, but he's not a number one. They don't have a go down the field and catch the football on a go route guy. They don't have that. And as much as Diggs was a headache for them, he was that guy. He was that guy.
Right.
And the Chiefs went out and got, and you look at what Hopkins did last night. He walked in there and he dominated. And he made an incredible catch at the goal line. Now, should Tampa have intercepted that ball? Yes. Did they? They didn't. And he caught it.
Yeah, and the problem is that, Buffalo's not able to go and get Tyreek Hill. And
no, they're not.
And that's the problem. And again, look, I'm not sitting here saying Buffalo's incapable of winning a Super Bowl. What I'm telling you is that they are contenders, but they haven't shown the ability to beat those two teams, the Chiefs and the Ravens. You haven't shown me that you are as good when it comes down to it in those moments as those two teams are. And by the way, I'm not just saying it's on Josh Allen. I do think there are a lot of times where Sean McDermott just makes dumb decisions defensively and puts his guys in bad spots, which, again, as someone said earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, that's part of why the Chiefs are good, because Andy Reid more consistently puts his guys in positions to be successful. So I think that's
a great point.
Like, I would love for Buffalo to go get Micah Parsons and make it, a closer game. I would love to see Micah Parsons actually go on a legitimate run with a team in the playoffs and see what he can do, because he frankly hasn't really had that chance yet.
And do you feel like the Vikings adding Cam Robinson at left tackle because of Christian Darrisaw's injury, was that a game changer? It's not. It's not. And that's why I think the Za'Darius Smith trade is the deal of the day, because it makes Detroit far and away better. Deontay Robinson from the Panthers to the Ravens does not make them exponentially better. I think if you are Buffalo, you have to go and do something other than nothing, because the Super Bowl is not, I just don't believe that the Chiefs are exponentially better. I think they get a lot of help, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the AFC, and you better point your Northern Star at Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because if you're Buffalo, they're in your backyard, and they're simply better than you are. And you have the better quarterback. They've got the better weapons. They've got the better defense. They've got the better head coach. You need to go and make a trade. And if you're going to make a Micah Parsons kind of trade, I would give up draft capital to get Micah Parsons today.
If you're Baltimore?
No, if you are Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would give that up.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, I get passionate about it. I want the Bears to sell.
I think what we all want is for it not just to be the Chiefs and everybody else. That's what we all want. And for that to happen, you have to have overwhelming firepower, because again, and I don't disagree. Again, all jokes aside, the Chiefs get leeway from the officials. We need to stop crying 100%. About it. We need to stop being surprised about it. We need to stop being shocked by it. Like, I'm tired of people crying about it, dude. You know what to expect. We're not in week 1 anymore. Like, we're in the middle of the season. You know Jawan Taylor's going to false start every single time, and they're only going to probably call it 10% of the time. You know that. So I know. How about we reinvent the wheel here? Why don't you go trade for Micah Parsons, and why don't you go send him after Jawan Taylor?
Do you believe that Jarrah will make trades today? I don't.
I don't think his pride will let him make enough trades, or any trades, to be honest. Like, he may move Micah, because the money situation with Micah is just so untenable based on their cap, situation in Dallas, that it makes sense to move him. But bro, like, I don't think Jerry Jones's pride will allow him to. And look, I'm not saying you got to tear the whole organization down, but what I am saying is that you've basically locked yourself into Dak and CD, and everybody else is available. And you have to go out and rebuild this thing, and you need to do it quickly. But I don't think he's going to do that, because, again, he's a prideful guy. Now, again, what did he say earlier this week? What was it? Yesterday, I believe he said it. Hey, essentially, we're going to try and make deals by the deadline. Watch out for the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow. But that hasn't happened yet.
Who's more likely in that division to make a trade? The Eagles, the Commanders, or the Cowboys? I think the Commanders got to get a wide receiver or a corner. Go get a cover corner.
Yes.
In my opinion. I think that's absolutely a need. The Eagles are always willing to make trades. I think the Eagles are always willing to make trades.
Yeah.
So what'd you do? Break the TV?
I guess. I mean, the TV just turned itself off, bro. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. I think it is very interesting that you are looking at a lot of deals that could be done today. Azeez Ojulari with the Giants, I think, is a name. He's a phenomenal pass rusher. That's a name that I would absolutely be watching. So anyway, I think there's a lot of teams making deals. Stupid, which I still think is one of the best membership names here. You guys seeing everything going on with the Saints? Yeah, I mean that the culture there is a disaster. They have to rip that whole thing down. Anybody need a backup quarterback? Because I would trade Carr. I would trade Derek Carr. I think that very clearly there's something missing there. I would absolutely make that deal. Stupid also says Bills currently have the aggressive GM. He's been on the Pat show, and he's always looking at who's available for a trade on Pat McAfee's show. Yeah, they've got to get an edge rusher there. I mean, you're really, in my opinion, you're looking at what the Lions are doing. You're looking at the defense that the Ravens put on the field. You look at what the Chiefs do defensively. The Bills are a cut below because they can't get after the quarterback. So, Wasikowski, you must be a happy guy today. Zadarius Smith to the Detroit Lions is a hell of a pickup. Why can't the Bears keep running backs? Well, I don't know that the Bears can't keep running backs. I think you look at, I mean, you're obviously hinting at David Montgomery. I think that's a mistake. I think when you're looking at David Montgomery was a mistake for the Bears. There's no doubt about it. Khalil Herbert's been injured. He's not been a guy that's been in the mix. Made all the sense in the world. The Bears, I think, recognize. I don't know. I might be going too far with this. I'm curious what you guys think of this. Do we have an issue with systems in the NFL? I think we have a massive quarterback problem in the NFL right now. And I think it's in college as well. How is it that we can't get a quarterback to turn around and hand the ball off? And you look at the decline of the running backs in this league. Why have we seen so few and so little determined and calculated running offenses? Obviously, explosiveness, I totally understand. You got to score. You want fast receivers. Totally understand that. I am telling you now, the best teams in this league put quarterbacks under center. The worst teams in this league have quarterbacks in the gun constantly. If you cannot put a quarterback under center and turn around and hand the football off, say what you want about the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is a guy that's under center and hands the football off. I think that is a critical part of offenses, and I think the lack of quarterback development and the lack of quarterback growth in college football right now, where everything is in the gun, run or pass, I think it is killing NFL offenses, and the quality of quarterback play, in my opinion, is as low as we have ever seen it. You look at Derek Carr or any other Daniel Jones disaster in this league, I think a lot of it can be traced back to guys not going under center, not having the ability to take a handoff under center, turn around and give the running back the football. We are so heavily predicated on quarterbacks in the gun, disguising. And at what point do we take a lesson from what the Ravens are doing, from what the Chiefs are doing, from what the best teams in this league do? Because Jared Goff also not a guy that's in the gun constantly. But you look at the teams that are struggling. You look at the Houston Texans, constantly in shotgun. You look at Caleb Williams in Chicago, constantly in shotgun. These young quarterbacks out of college, Jake, in my opinion, are not being set up for success in the NFL because they cannot get under center and appropriately execute an offense.
Yeah, and I think that's compounded by garbage offensive lines. I mean, I think Houston's got a bad one. The Bears have a bad one. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have an awful one. And I think that's why you see, whether it's Fivehead or Caleb Williams or anybody else struggling, that's why, because they don't get the benefit of the doubt of, running play action or even the threat of play action. And I think that's what elite offenses do. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs do it regularly. And, last night on Prize Picks, I had Kareem Hunt for 17.5 carries and needed overtime to do it. And thank God he did it. And I won. But it speaks to how often the Chiefs are running the football, right? They're thinking about, okay, hey, think about what the weapons we have. Okay, we've got Watson, we've got Kelsey, we've got Xavier Worthy, we've got these guys now, obviously DeAndre Hopkins, but what good are any of those names if the defense can play single high safety and man across the board? What good is that? If your linebackers are chilling 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, what good is it? It's not good. And that's the problem. That's why, it's to me, this Herbert deal for the Bears. I don't understand the point of it. I mean, I understand he's not playing and, you wanted him money. Okay. Whatever. You're a bad organization right now. And the reality is that move is inconsequential to your future, in my opinion. That move doesn't do anything right now to help anything. You might as well have just said, all right, cool. Here's our running back. Go ahead and take him.
But I just disagree with that. I think the Bears understand that they had to. He's just wasting space. Like, he is not a guy your season's over in Chicago. You're done. You're not going to the playoffs. I think you have to get on with getting on. And again, I think the Bears don't fire coaches. I totally understand that. I think they should. They don't often. And people texting me now, the Bears are far from done. We'll see. We shall see. Bro.
I hope so, because at some point you have to improve this situation. Like, on
do
some
you
level.
Trade Keenan Allen? I think it's a very big question mark. That's a guy that can make. I know the 49ers would love to get their hands on Keenan Allen, because that's a guy that makes your quarterback better. That's an escape valve. But what are you saying about your system and your team if you trade Keenan Allen? Because you're not trading more, even though, again, you want to talk about culture.
Dude.
He walked off the field in the middle of a play. That's what it appears to be.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
Yeah, I don't, I would go a step further. I don't think that's what it appears to be. I think that's what it is. You walked off the field. Like,
how do you explain
still
that?
Going on. And if you watch closely, you can see what he did. So he runs the route. He's coming back to the football, and Caleb is running towards the sideline with the ball, trying to escape. And I think he just assumed that the play was over. And then Caleb gets away again.
No, I think what he did was go F again, because you could see his head. I think he yelled an expletive, because you can see his head goes like, when you like yell, when you're like, and your head goes down, right?
Yeah.
And he just walks off the field in frustration, because this offense is garbo in Chicago. And Shane Waldron continues to keep his job as the play caller, continues to keep his job as the coordinator. The play call is terrible. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And I think you're looking at guys, whether that be DJ Moore, you look at DeAndre Swift not answering a question the other day about Shane Waldron, just shaking his head and being like, yeah, I don't know. Next. Like, these guys don't want to talk about it. When you're getting Kevin Byard, one of the most tenured veterans in this league, ripping an offensive play call where you handed it off to an offensive lineman who fumbled, you need to make systematic changes in Chicago, and it should start today.
Yeah.
It should. Yeah, absolutely, Boyd Lake. Hopkins played really well for the Chiefs because they have a culture.
Yep.
Because they have an elite offensive mind
growing
with an elite
system.
Quarterback.
Growing in the system.
And I'm not trying to be redundant on this. I'm truly not. But I am telling you again, when you have an elite quarterback, friends, and you are unwilling, or maybe you're just blind as a bat, when you are unwilling and blind as a bat, and you have a defensive coordinator as your head coach, congratulations. See you in the draft. See you next year. Like, GTFO, get away from me.
Yeah.
If Sean McDermott's your head coach, there's a reason your quarterback's not developing. If Matt Eberflus is your head coach and you drafted Caleb Williams and you're watching him suffer and get his ass handed to him week in and week out, and again, to Wasikowski's point, you're looking at David Montgomery dominating in Detroit when he couldn't seemingly operate in Chicago. Is that David Montgomery's fault? I'm going to say it's not, because you have a defensive coordinator as your head coach when you invested heavily in a quarterback. Would Patrick Mahomes have any more success with Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus in Chicago?
Nope.
No, he would not. He's got one of the genius offensive minds we've ever seen in this league. And now all of a sudden, everybody wants to play there. And Andy Reid plugs and plays wide receivers, apparently. Come on. Like, what are we even talking about? All right, let's reset all the news. You're next on the Monty Show, presented by the Advocates.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate, because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the Advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
Indeed you do. Clear, risk-free advice. That's what you get at theadvocates.com. You can chat with an injury attorney live online, 24/7, 365. It won't cost you a dime because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. That means you never reach into your pocket. You're never scratching them a check. You don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. They understand that money's the last thing you want to talk about when you've been in a serious wreck. Get to theadvocates.com. Clear, risk-free advice. Love those guys. Love, love, love those guys. Don't forget Giving Friday coming up. They are still working with the Thanksgiving Heroes. $134,000 needs to be raised. We did a great job last Friday. We raised over $1,000 on the show. We'll do it again this Friday. Let's run through some of your comments. The biggest stories of the day, the Pac-12, according to our sources, is back at the table with ESPN and Fox, trying to put together a deal. I am told by sources in the TV industry that ESPN is at the table talking to the Pac-12 about a football, basketball, and stick and ball sport deal, baseball and softball, that would include ESPN and or ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, not ESPN. And FS1 would also be part of that deal. FS1 would get the lion's share of the basketball and secondary football games. ESPN2 would have the biggest late game matchup in the Pac-12. So let's say San Diego State and Boise State would be the 7:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff on ESPN2, while you would have that big Big 12 late game window. This week, ESPN has BYU and Utah. BYU's a now 4-point favorite at Rice-Eccles Stadium. The number's 41.5. That's going in the wrong direction if you're Utah. But this deal would also very heavily include ESPN Plus, where you would have every other secondary football, basketball, baseball, softball. I'm also told that ESPN has worked very diligently with all conferences and all universities to try to find a solution for secondary sports, including track and field. So a lot going on with college athletics at ESPN and ESPN Plus. Is this a good deal? Well, it's never about where it is. It's how much money. I am told this deal would be $8 to $10 million per school per year. And if that's the case, I think it's a home run for the Pac-12. It is also NFL trade deadline day. The biggest trade that's come down the pipe so far is the Detroit Lions have acquired Browns defensive end Zadarius Smith to fill that Aiden Hutchinson spot. After Max Crosby came off the market, I think you knew almost immediately Detroit was going to have to find alternative means. Micah Parsons was never going to be traded to Detroit. I think Zadarius Smith was the exact right guy. I think he is a solution and then some for that Detroit Lions defensive front that needs a pass rusher. I mean, that's still a really good defense. Zadarius Smith, I think, cements them as the best team in the NFC. I think they are now clearly Super Bowl favorites in the NFC. The Bears made a small deal, Khalil Herbert to the Bengals, and compensation updates continue to come out on that. The Bears now releasing a statement. We have traded Khalil Herbert to the Bengals in exchange for a 2025 7th-round pick. All our problems are solved. All our problems are solved.
Do you see what I mean? Like, not to get sidetracked, but do you see what I mean? You just had one of the worst weeks in recent memories for your franchise. And the best news we have out of deadline day so far, and again, people reaching out saying they're not done. Okay, maybe more deals come in. But the best you have right now is a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not inspiring, bro. It's just it's more of the same nonsense that we've seen out of the Bears, man. And I wish
hugely disappointing.
I wish that they would change it. I wish they would.
Yeah, and then I look at one of the biggest trades that's been made. How big was DeAndre Hopkins for the Chiefs last night? Huge. So your thoughts on all of that are welcome. Obviously, we'll keep you up to date on what is going on NFL trade deadline day. A lot of news. Let's get your thoughts in here. Daniel Dixon, Cowboys need to trade and be ready for a rebuild next year. I agree with people I've talked to in the NFL, and I think Cowherd made a great point yesterday. If they don't make deals now, they're going to be bad for 3 to 5 years. The Dallas Cowboys.
I just don't think Jerry Jones's pride will allow him to tear the team down or tear it down. Maybe not all the way down, but tear it down to a point where you have flexibility again. And that's what I think holds them back. And, if you're bad for 3 to 5 years, this could get to a point where, we're talking about trade demands and, it could get ugly for sure if they don't make deals.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you go here. I mean, you're looking at the best teams in your conference making deals. You're looking at the Chiefs making deals. The Lions are making deals. The 49ers are supposedly on the phone looking for wide receiver help. Again, Keenan Allen's a guy I keep an eye on in Chicago. I think if you are the Detroit Lions, are you done? You're not done. I think you're looking for a wide receiver if you're Detroit. If you're Buffalo, you're looking for a deep threat. I think if you're any of these contenders, right? I mean, you look at the instant injection of time and space that DeAndre Hopkins put in that offense.
Yep.
He's an elite red zone receiver. You look at the touchdown catches he had. Where were those touchdown catches? Back of the end zone, toe tapping. It's not accidental that they went and got the guy that they needed.
Well, even that throw to the goal line there where it was just, I think he came down on the ground on like the 4, I think. Like,
yes.
That's between like 3 guys. Like, it's a great hands catch. Like it's you just, I say this every year on deadline day and we talk about it all the time. Like, the good organizations make pragmatic moves. They make smart moves. They say, okay, hey, Hopkins is an elite, wide receiver against zone concepts, and he's got a great set of hands on him. That's somebody Patrick Mahomes can work with. That's not going to cost us, 8 draft picks and crazy compensation.
Yeah, there are wide receivers available.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to make a move. The Jets, the Jets will trade Mike Williams today.
Are the Jets irrelevant now?
No, they're not. I don't think they're relevant at all.
You think they're still in the same place where they're still, because I think Jet fan wants to tell you they still have a chance, and I just don't think they do. I don't think you have the goods.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think that's a very interesting point because if you are,
because this is year 2 of the contract for Aaron.
It is year 2. I just don't know where the Jets need. Are they going to get Marshawn Lattimore? They're not.
No.
He's probably the best available corner. I mean, I'm open to the discussion. But New Orleans Saints, Marshawn Lattimore, he's available. And by all accounts, he's going to get dealt today. You look at the defenses around this league. I mean, there's a lot of contenders that could. The 49ers need a corner. 49ers need a wide receiver. 49ers need an offensive lineman. There's a lot of dudes out there that need help, in my opinion. So we'll see how that works out. Mayor McCluskey, Taysom Hill to the Bears. Stop. Wasikowski, the Lions freed up 2 defensive positions, so wouldn't be surprised if they're not done. I think you guys got to get a wide receiver. I think now with Zadarius Smith being there, I would not. The defense has been much better. I think you're one. Mike Williams probably isn't the guy, but you're one go route runner away from being really good.
Yeah.
And Jared Goff, while he's not a guy that's going to carry you to a championship, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL the last 2 years.
He's not going to prevent you from winning a championship.
No, he's not. He's not going to be the problem anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Daniel Dixon, Bears issues are management. Bottom line, it is. How on earth are we in a position with the Chicago Bears where you have How have you not fired somebody?
Yeah, I don't know how.
How?
Like, I don't know how because what it appears to be, and again, this is just my opinion, but what it appears to me, the situation is they're just simply saying we're not going to fire someone midseason. That's what you're saying.
That's what it has to
like
be.
like you're like the ownership must be coming down to Ryan Pace and Kevin Warren by extension and saying, hey, we're not making these foundational changes midseason. We'll endure the scrutiny and we'll make all this happen in the offseason. But for now, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Oak State James. Good morning, James. Good to see you. Does adding Sac State help make the Pac-12 a better conference? They are a top 50 TV market. The Kings said they can use the arena if they go Pac-12. I don't think that Sac State, and we've talked about this on the show, I don't think that Sac State is a problem, but they certainly are not a solution. And I love Sacramento. I think it's a foothold in Northern California. I used to live there. The people there are just phenomenal. Sac State would be on I would have to believe, a 7-year curve. It would take them so long from a talent and infrastructure perspective. And they have the money. We've talked about this at length on the show. I know a ton of people there. They have all told me they have a war chest. They are absolutely building and creating infrastructure. They've already added a significant amount of academic infrastructure to their athletic department. Like, they have the money. But you've never sold Sac State Sports as a solution for the 3-star linebacker from Idaho.
Right.
You've never sold Sac State Sports to the secondary power forward in Chicago. And that's why I wonder, can Sac State go to Lithuania and pull a big man like GCU regularly does, Grand Canyon, or Gonzaga regularly does? Are they going to Australia? It's going to be a long, you're going to go, right? You're going to go, but the curve is going to be so much longer. I just don't think it's a solution. I think it's a very good question. I just don't think it's a solution. DK for $5. I'm a Saints fan, and I love that DA, Dennis Allen, got fired. I knew Dennis Allen back when I was in San Francisco at the great KMBR 680. He's a lovely dude. I want him as my defensive coordinator. But again, why? And I know I am the guy that routinely why are we hiring defensive coordinators as head coaches? Why? We do this repeatedly in this league.
Every year.
You're looking at guys like Sean McDermott. Are the Bills bad? They're not. If Andy Reid was the head coach of generational offensive mind. If Sean McVay was the head coach of the Bills, are they a better team? They
Yes.
are. If Ben Johnson's the head coach of the Bears today, if Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator in Houston, is the head coach of the Bears today, they're a better football team. Caleb Williams is a better quarterback. DJ Moore's not walking off the field middle of a play.
Yeah.
But they're not. Matt Eberflus is. And the defense in Chicago is fine. Even though his players all quit on him, it's fine. Even though they can't defend a Hail Mary, the defense is not by far the biggest problem in Chicago. Matt Eberflus is. The front office is. Like, why are we hiring defensive guys to be head coaches? That to me is what I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I want to. I don't understand it. I'd far rather have Mike McCarthy than Matt Eberflus.
Well, and look at Dan Campbell again. Like, defensive guy.
Special teams guy. No, he's a special teams guy. He is. What did Dan Campbell play in the NFL? He played tight end. What was his best attribute as a coach? He was a phenomenal motivator, and he had guys running through your face on special teams and with tight ends. And he showed as an interim coach, hey, I can fire guys up. Now he's gotten to Detroit. They suffered a little bit. Remember the Hard Knocks year? They suffered a little bit, but now Dan Campbell knew what he didn't know, and he learned, and he surrounded himself with a really good staff. and they're winning.
So he
Because-
motivates. The other guys do their job.
Yes.
We have a formula.
Which is what Sean Rollins did when he donated a Monty Show membership. And you guys, Sean, I really appreciate the membership donation. If you are donating memberships, and it takes money out of my pocket, I want you to know that's how seriously I take this. If you are donating memberships, I ask you to make a Venmo donation. The $3 that it is, I think it is, to donate a membership. I ask you to donate to the Advocates. Advocates donations for Thanksgiving Heroes. Here's the website. This is who the Advocates are partnered with, providing meals for less fortunate kids who are going to be hungry at Thanksgiving. And we've talked a lot about this, and we're going to do Giving Friday on Friday. You guys, I want you to know just how seriously we take this. This is the kind of effort that we're talking about, where your money goes directly to putting these items in a box so that the fine people at Thanksgiving Heroes can put that stuff in their trunk and deliver it to hungry families this Thanksgiving. And Sean, I love you. And you're a long time, and I thank you for the membership donation. Anybody considering donating a membership today, tomorrow, Friday, until Thanksgiving, please consider donating to the Advocates on Venmo, Advocates donations. Please consider that. Just put Monty Thanksgiving. Just put Thanksgiving kids. I don't care. I don't need the credit. I want the kids to have the food. Advocates donations on Venmo. Sean, always good to see you. How about your Cardinals? You want to talk about a team that needs to go make a deal. The Arizona Cardinals might be in that. Fuzzy balls. Dak is in his 9th year already, and now he's hurt. So for all of the haters, the Dak Prescott haters, well, now you get your wish. He's out, quote unquote, weeks with a hamstring. And people are like, oh, if he was a real leader, he'd play through it. You don't play through hamstring injuries.
No.
You don't.
And you especially don't do that on a bad team.
Big Daddy Magic. Hey, playa, all roads lead to Buffalo. Any player gets traded to Buffalo today is on the highway to heaven.
Victor's the way.
Okay.
Sure thing, dog.
I think Buffalo's very good. I think they are not elite, and I think they need to make a trade.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be tough to get. It's going to be tough to get Micah Parsons out of Dallas. I'd sell my firstborn if I were Sean McDermott to get Micah Parsons out of Dallas. I don't know what it will take. Make the deal. Because if you get Micah Parsons, who should be well on his way to recovery, you're 7-2. You could be a 4-loss, 3-loss team with Micah Parsons. He's that disruptive, and Sean McDermott's that good of a defensive coordinator. And I agree. Josh Allen's going to have to show he won't throw interceptions.
I would do the deal too. I'm with you. I think you should do that deal. I just think don't say, hey, we traded for Micah Parsons, we're going to the Super Bowl. What you should say is, hey, we traded for Micah Parsons. That should allow us to win, to at least have a better chance in the AFC Championship game than you did. Because it didn't really look that close the last several years.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see what will all these teams do? What will trade deadline is what? 4:00 Eastern, 2 Mountain, 1 Pacific.
Yeah. Clock's ticking, Jero.
Woody Johnson. I think the Jets make another deal. I think the Jets certainly make another deal. I don't know what that looks like. If it were me, I would add Lattimore to that defense. I think Sauce needs help because they're just not throwing at him, or at least very sparingly, and they're picking on the other side. And they clearly don't want Sauce to travel, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm putting him on my best receiver no matter what, or on their best receiver no matter what. They're not doing that in New York. Are they going to make a Lattimore deal? Probably not. They made a Devontae Adams deal, so you're not going wide receiver. The only other place that I would go offensive line. How many offensive linemen are available? Not a lot. Not a lot. So it'll be and I know I'm the only one, But I like what these contenders are doing. I love the DeAndre Hopkins. He dominated last night.
Yep.
How do you
But he
stand
didn't
pat?
dominate because he's just better than you. He dominated because they know how to use him. And I know this is repetitive, but I'm going to keep saying it. Good organizations put their guys in position to win. And then the guy just has to go out and catch the football, which is exactly what DeAndre Hopkins did multiple times last night. It's not difficult to understand.
Well, I mean, and he was only able to do that because they weren't calling false starts. Juwan Taylor clearly false started, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Dude that abides. Let's get through some comments. I'm sorry, I'm kind of bloviating. As a Lions fan, I'd rather shore up some O-line, D-line depth for the long run than chase a receiver. But are you long run? You're a Super Bowl caliber team right now. Do you understand how difficult that is to get to? You've never been in this position. I don't believe the Lions have ever been this good. And the rest of the NFC is so vulnerable. Who are your main contenders in the NFC? I don't know that there's a real second team. I mean, the Packers look like Garbo. The Vikings,
I guess.
maybe. But who out west in the NFC? The Rams, the Niners, they can't stay healthy. Who out east? Anybody in the NFC East? The Commanders. But I would take I'll take Detroit over the Commanders twice on Sunday. Tampa? As good as Baker looks, because I think he's playing very well. Their defense doesn't seem to be there. Like, I don't know that there's a number 2 in the NFC right now.
I would agree with that.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Mayor McCluskey. The Bears need to improve the IPF.
Totally agree.
Clint Kubiak as the next Saints coach. I don't know. We'll see. I think they put their special teams coordinator as the head coach, which a lot of teams do when they fire the guy. Daniel Dixon, maybe it's because it's cheaper to get defensive coaches as head coaches than offensive guys. I don't know. I just, the thing that really makes me crazy is it's a mistake repeatedly over and over and over.
Yeah, what's the price you pay for being bad? Because I'm not willing to pay that price.
Yeah, we'll see. The Jets are toast. The season's over. How do you come back from that dumpster fire start? Well, they're still in the playoff. I think they're 2 games out. They're still in the playoff because the AFC, and I'm going to go right back to what I said earlier. If you're just tuning in, I talked about this a few minutes ago. Quarterback play in the NFL is as bad as it's ever been, and guys are getting hit more than they've ever gotten hit. It's because they're standing in the shotgun trying to throw the ball. Did Baker Mayfield take a single snap under center last night? Probably not. You look around and you look at the AFC and you look at the playoff picture in the AFC and you ask yourself, how far away really are the Jets? Because I agree it's not early. They're 3-6. The difference between 2-7 and 3-6,
huge,
massive. They're really 2 games out. And I think the biggest question is what's ahead of them? At the Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, at the Dolphins, at the Jaguars, Rams, at the Bills, Dolphins. That Dolphins game and that Bills game on the road. You're telling me if they get an offensive lineman, you're telling me if they go and improve their defense a little bit, if they make incremental moves, come on. And again, I'll just go back to the Detroit Lions in the NFC. Who's really a contender in the NFC? Does anybody think any of the 4-win teams in the NFC? Any of them? The Seahawks, Bucks, Niners, Rams, Bears. Niners certainly have the talent to go on a run, but they can't stay healthy.
CMC allegedly is getting close to coming back.
The Niners are at the Bucks on Sunday. Seattle at Green Bay, at Buffalo, the Bears, the Niners play the Rams then. After the Bears come in, the Rams come in, at the Dolphins, Detroit, at Arizona. That's not a 9-win team. Right? So look at the NFC, the 5-win team, the Arizona Cardinals. Do we really believe that the Arizona Cardinals are good? Not defensively, I don't. I don't think they're legit, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I don't think picking on the Bears makes you a legit team.
So I ask, if you are Aziz Ojulari, is Arizona attractive to you? Well, if you're Marshawn Lattimore, is Arizona attractive to you? I have to think that it is.
Yeah, I think if you're Marshawn Lattimore, pretty much anywhere is attractive to you. I mean, you're just not in a good situation.
Dude, seriously. Well, Sumbry, bro, did you see God damn it. Kay, why do you have to do this to me?
Literally nothing in the comment about Mike Gundy, but just because Kay is a Pokes fan.
I'm not even going to describe this video. I'm just going to play it for you.
This place has had tremendous success for 18 and a half years or 19. I can't do the math real good, and so unfortunately in life, most people are weak. And as soon as things start to not go as good as what they thought, they fall apart and they panic. And then they want to point the finger and blame other people. That you see it happen in everyday life. People do it all the time. That's why I refuse to watch the TV and watch the news, because I get tired of people complaining and bitching about this and that versus just doing something about it and trying to figure out a way to make it better. Well, that's what happens in college athletics. And as Jenny said, she's exactly right. It's just on the bigger stage where people can voice their opinion. And in most cases, the people that are negative and voicing their opinion are the same ones that can't pay their own bills. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their own family. They're not taking care of their own job, but they have an obligation to speak out and complain about others because it makes them feel better. But then in the end, when they go to bed at night, they're the same failure that they were before they said anything negative about anybody else.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
is there anybody at Oak State or any Oak State supporter who still is in Mike Gundy's camp? Are you out of your mind? He just attacked Oklahoma State fan. He just said, you're miserable in your life and that's why you're criticizing me. No, Mike, we're criticizing you because you haven't won a goddamn thing in the Big 12 this year.
True.
Facts.
And you're going after garden variety fan who in that miserable job and in his miserable life saves up his money to make sure he can go to BPS to watch you play football.
Because this team is just hot ass.
And that's the guy you chose to go after you did your DUI thing at Big 12 Media Day, after you didn't punish Ollie Gordon, and he's been one of the worst running backs in the league. And your offense has been one of the worst offenses in the league. And your defense is now worse than your offense.
Google me.
And it's the blue-collar workers' fault for criticizing you.
Bruh.
What are we doing, Mike? Why are you talking?
Help me. Help me.
And again, I want to be explicit about this. This criticism has nothing to do with Oklahoma State per se. This we could be talking about, like, if Gundy coached any other team, my take would be the exact same. This dude talks too much and does not win enough. You have not won it. You have not been to the college football playoff. You have not been a serious Big 12 championship contender yet in modern day, probably 6-7 seasons, right? In the modern day college football playoff era, what has this dude done? I don't care about 2005 or 91, or I don't give a damn about any of that. This guy needs to stop talking and needs to start winning football games, or he shouldn't be your head coach. Like, I'm done with, it's Casey Dunn, or it's this dude, or it's that dude, or Bowman sucks, or Rangel's a freshman, or a young guy, or whatever.
Or Flores in my mom.
Yeah,
and, come on, dude.
I'm done with all that, bro. This is a very straightforward conversation. This dude just criticized your fans, and he's done a terrible job this year. And you want to say that the fans are miserable and the fans are weak and essentially the fans are stupid, and that's the only reason they're criticizing you. It is anytime a head coach, collegiately or in the pros, is criticizing fans, you're in trouble. You're in deep, deep trouble because you're not saying, yeah, you know what? Like, you know what he should have said there? Hey, these fans, they should be criticizing us. They should be complaining. We haven't been very good. I haven't done a good enough job. That's what you should be saying, Mike. Not that their lives are miserable and they have nothing else to do and the media is biased against Oklahoma State. Like, it's just such a tired take, man.
I am shocked by it. And, we have
as
not.
a fan, what do you think of that, Sunbury? Like, and I'm genuinely asking you, man. Like, does that not upset you?
I don't even know how you. I don't know. Fuzzy balls for $5. Congrats to the Florida State cinnamon rolls, who have gotten 0 takeaways for 6 consecutive games. Talk about a team quitting on an epic scale. Where did they go? I have no idea. San Diego State Glenny said the deplorables aren't paying their bills either. Wow.
You see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Who are you?
And donuts. I've been waiting for a Gundy rant. Beautiful, Monty. Classic. You're welcome.
Yeah.
We do what we can. Daniel Dixon, he's making Oak State look like the old Iowa State when Iowa State was lucky to win 3 games a year.
Yeah.
You're
like,
not wrong.
How are you as a fan? And I'm serious. I'm very curious. Like, Oklahoma State fan, are you not in the Fire Mike Gundy camp at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would make a move on him. After that, you don't attack fans. You don't attack the lifeblood of your football team. You don't do that in my belief. You don't do that in Survive. You just don't. You're attacking the guy that sits in the upper deck. That's the last flipping guy you want to go after.
Yes.
You don't do that. And you know what the real problem here is? And I'm going to play the video again because I think it's perfect today. Oak State fans are phenomenal. They're passionate. And what video perfectly illustrates that?
I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to scream. There's no point to, because this team is just hot ass. They're terrible. It makes no sense. It's inexplicable. Casey Dunn, Brian Nardo are both equally as bad. Alan Bowman isn't good. Zane Flores is either hurt, he isn't any good, or Mike Gundy just hates us all.
Well, now Mike Gundy hates y'all.
He confirmed that.
And he confirmed it.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Obviously, dude's a media member, but you can tell he's got passion. Look at how huge his cheekbones are.
Yeah, that take is not wrong, though. That's the thing I have for Gundy.
I said, look how huge it... Never mind. Can I not get a reaction out of you on cheekbones?
Bruh.
What am I supposed to say to that, dude? What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I don't.
But my point is,
agree.
Poke fans' take is not wrong. Like, Bowman is not good. The defense sucks. The offense sucks. Mike Gundy doesn't have control of his program. Perfect example. Yesterday on the show, I said that Joey McGuire at Texas Tech better have a backup plan or a recruit coming in to backfill Taj.
He better.
You'd have thought that I said that Joey McGuire's the worst head coach in Texas Tech as a poverty program based on the reaction of Texas Tech fan in our comment section yesterday. Like I got called stupid yesterday in our comment section for saying that.
But I mean, you are.
Yeah.
F around and find out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis on this show. But it's just incredible to me that like Poke fans not just out here like, yeah, we're done. It's over. Like, thanks, Mike. Time to move along. Like, I'm shocked by it.
Yeah. Why do you say Glenn says it's a very interesting program today? Is that a compliment?
Yeah. What's up, Glenn?
I appreciate that. Hope everybody votes today. Do you understand the gravity of today? NFL trade deadline. We have got election day. Like it's everything you need. Make it happen. Glenn, good to see you, my friend. Michigan State should make a call to Ollie. Ollie's not going to Michigan State. If Ollie transfers, he's going he's a Texas kid from Fort Worth. My opinion is he's going back to Texas. And he should, because if he transfers, he's got to win. Period. That's it. That's the whole story. Michigan State's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd be all about that. in my opinion. Welcome to the nightmare. Gundy criticizing the fans is ridiculous. What he needs to be criticizing is his own coaching.
Yes.
Fuzzy balls. Are you a tennis player? Oklahoma State is trying to be like Kansas Jayhawks of the 2010s. Wow. Stadium guy James, Gundy is frustrated that his OC and DC suck. So do something about it. Do something about it. I've given up hope about Oak State going to a bowl. Well, now you have Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech. You're a fan of all of them, right? If the linebackers get medical red shirts, we'll be good. You're not going to be good. You're not talented. You're either not talented or you don't coach well. It's not a player problem. You need a massive change in coaching. And if you don't do Kalani when he fired his best friend as defensive coordinator and brought in Jay Flipping Hill, you don't make a move on that scale. If you don't go and get, look at Ryan Day going to get Chipmunk Chip Kelly with them huge acorn. Anyway, my point is, if you don't go and get Chip Kelly, if you don't go and get Jay Hill, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Oh, wow. Wow. Jaden Mayava, the starting quarterback at USC. Wow. Miller Moss done at USC. 4 of their last 5 games, 4-5 on the season. Wow, wow, wow. Jaden Mayava, who, again, and we talked about this at length on the show. You remember that?
Yes. He
transferred to SC. He's a sophomore. So he could be the guy. Dude, that's huge. That is huge.
So there's two reasons as to why Lincoln would do this. Obviously, they need some kind of injection of energy, of course. But if you're Lincoln Riley, are you not trying to change the narrative, the conversation on your program right now?
Wow.
That's why I think he's doing this. I think that, I've been saying it all year. Miller Moss is not a special quarterback talent. Like he's decent, he's solid, but he's not like, I'm going to put you over the top, or my arm talent's just so incredible, or he doesn't have those intangibles as a quarterback. Now he's, again, a good leader. He's typically not going to lose you the game. But the problem is in college football, you need your quarterback to be able to go and win you the game. And he can't do that. He just has shown time and time again.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting to me that you look at the reaction to this, and I think you will see that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Boy, what a day of breaking news on this program. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
All our breaking news brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app in the business. You guys, they still have the best promo. Monty Show listeners, you get the app downloaded on your phone. Use the promo code Monty to open up a new account at Prize Picks. You deposit $5, you get 50 more instantly at Prize Picks. Hook it up. It's awesome. I won again last night. Now, I would like to say my anger towards Tampa was misplaced on this show. Because I needed did you guys see what the long field goal in that game was last night? I know you guys, you don't watch football like Monty watches football.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I am that guy. Did you guys see that Chase McLaughlin made a 47-yard field goal last night? Okay. So I needed Buckcrack and McLaughlin, or Bucker. My bad. I mispronounced that jerk's name. McLaughlin and Bucker last night. I get Travis Kelce. I had him at 5.5 receptions. I went more. He had 14.
Nice.
Shake and Baker Mayfield, 1.5 touchdown passes. He had 2. I went more. Life is good.
And when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
McLaughlin and Buckcrack, I needed a 48-yard field goal. One of them had to kick a 48-yard field goal. McLaughlin kicked a 47-yard field goal.
Embarrassing, dude.
I lost. No, I won because I'm smart. I took Monty's advice. That's me.
Hey, Monty.
Monty took Monty's advice and played a flex play. So I won $25 on it last. Look at all the SC people texting me.
Oh God.
My guy Stan, who is a ridiculous USC fan. He gives, I'm not even going to say how much he gives. He gives tens of thousands of dollars a year to that program. Miller Moss isn't the problem. Fire that jackass.
Dude.
My other buddy Chad, who's a USC alumni.
Dude.
Honestly, I think it's a good idea to bench.
He has our full respect.
Fire that jackass.
I think the reaction is amazing.
Out of here.
One of the other people who shall remain nameless. Miller Moss sucks, but not as much as Lincoln Riley. That MFer needs to go.
Dude.
SC fans are so pissed.
So I said, yeah.
And yet, this is why I say, like, as a Notre Dame fan, it pisses me off that Marcus Freeman is mid, because that won't get him fired.
It vexes me. Terribly vexed.
If you're an Oak State fan, how are you not on the same MFing level with
You ought to know. You bought it.
that MFer?
Fire that MFer.
I love it. That's what I love about the passion of sports. Anyways, download the Prize Picks app. Oh yes, I already have my my NBA pick. I won $90 on my NBA pick last night because I went all heaters. And I got to tell you, watching the Laker game, I just want to snap and break something, which is fine because the Lakers lost to the Pistons last night.
It's embarrassing.
Anthony Davis came through, though. I had him on a heater at 44.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I took more, thankfully, because he had 50. He put up a 50-piece nugget. I hate saying nugget. He put up 50 last night. Anthony Davis I think he's the most valuable player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Jake convinced me to do something stupid. Ooh, look at that. Wow. Nebraska is adding former Houston and West Virginia head coach Dana Holgerson to the staff as an offensive consultant. He'll work with the offensive staff in a role that will evolve as the season goes on.
There you go.
How many times have people on this show said Dana Holgerson's got to get a job?
Well, there you go.
Oak State fan, you should be pissed.
And they're better for it.
I would agree with that.
He's not a head coach, but he is a damn good coordinator if he becomes that.
I would agree with that. Jake convinced me to take Steph Curry 3.5 3-pointers made. He made 4. So now, and I feel almost stupid with this last one because the Jazz beating the Bulls is the worst loss of the season for the Jazz.
What's wrong with you?
The Jazz beating the Bulls was a huge loss for that team.
Terrible.
And I got emotional about my Chicago Bulls. But it paid off. Because Ayo Dosunmu last night on a heater was 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. My guy had 25, 5, and 5.
I think I've hit it every time. I mean, I'm almost like Notre Dame.
Chaboy won. Terrible loss for the Jazz last night, beating the Bulls.
Yeah.
135-126. The Jazz beat the Bulls in what amounts to the worst performance of the season for the Jazz. It is really it's getting tough to watch this team now. Because they're in the pooper for Cooper. Cooper Flag last night dominated for Duke. And yet the Jazz find a way to screw it up and win a game in just really heartbreaking fashion.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
And it sucks.
Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty.
I just try to stand strong.
And you deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account. They'll give you 50 more.
Yeah.
You too can pick the Jazz to lose every game, and they'll break your heart by winning.
Let's ride.
Can't even lose properly.
Yeah.
Is Cooper Flagg worth all this real quick?
I think he is.
You think he's worth it?
I do think he's worth it. If I was running the Jazz, I would lose as many games as possible, legitimately.
I think he's worth it too.
Yeah,
I think he's LeBron. I think he's Jordan. I think that I've never seen a kid with his size and skill set dominate NBA players as a high school senior the way that Cooper Flagg did. There's only one other guy that I can think of who's done that, and it's Kobe Bryant, who was dominating NBA players in open runs over the summer when he was a senior at Lower Merion. And it's remarkable to me. He's better than Victor Wembanyama was at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He is more mature physically and mentally, and his game translates directly to the NBA.
The thing that I think about with Cooper Flagg is people didn't know KD until he showed up at Texas, right? Like KD didn't come on to the national scene really. Obviously, KD came up before social media was just raging, so that's a clear difference here, obviously. But I look at Cooper Flagg as someone who, man, he's got that ideal build. He's not too tall, right? He's not like way outside the box with build. See, you see what I have to deal with here, man? What are USC fans saying now? Do I need the music?
I texted a buddy of mine that's a USC fan. And I said to him, hey, they bench Miller Moss, bro. Is that good news for you? He said, don't ever text me again. ... Don't ever text me again, ... unless it's to let me know that Lincoln Riley got his ass run out of town on a rail.
Bro,
oh my God.
Fan,
I love it. This is why I love USC fan.
Though.
Unless it's to tell me Lincoln got his ass run out of town on a rail.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Dude. God, I love sports. This is why I love sports. Tanner Plummer, hello. Well, it's one win for the Jazz. They're still on track to capture the flag, or as the Canadians say, capture the flag. It's a terrible loss. The Utah Jazz winning last night is a terrible loss. Eric and Raleigh. Cooper Flagg. Now I'm going to...
Yeah, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
That prick. Cooper Flagg shot 6 of 15, 0 of 4 from 3 against Maine. But bro, did you see the handles? Did you see the explosiveness? Did you see the behind the back pass he made? Did you see the in the passing lane, dribbles between his legs on the sideline, goes up and dunk? Like, you can see it all, dude. Cooper Flagg, I thought, for being like one of his first real forays with Duke, I thought he looked great. And now I'm going to say Flagg every time, Tanner. Lincoln Riley dropped from the charter flight with a parachute. Who are you, DB Cooper?
Yeah.
Delaric, Cooper to Utah would ruin him for the NBA because they won't do anything to help him if he goes there.
Well,
Facts.
Caleb Aylmore. Who does Oak State go after if they fire Gundy? We need help. Maybe an OC from the NFL or something. What do you guys think? You don't make a decision or even a target when Nick Saban says he's retiring. Mike Gundy is all you've ever known. Oh, wow.
Dude, not to sidetrack it, but it
sidetracks it.
Yeah, we have to talk about this now.
The Dallas Cowboys are not going to sell at the trade deadline, according to Jerry Jones.
Telling you, dude.
They're going to be bad for the next 3 to 5 years. And they're going to be in the same spot that the Saints are. And I don't know how many people recognize how bad the Saints are. The Saints have renegotiated so many contracts that they don't even have guys they can trade to get cap relief. That's where the Dallas Cowboys are going. It's really bad. It is really bad because you mark my words, we'll talk about this in 6 months. The Cowboys will renegotiate Dak's contract. They'll renegotiate Lamb's contract. They'll convert it to signing bonuses, and then even trading guys like that won't give you salary cap relief because you've already paid the money, so it's dead cap money.
Yep.
That's where the Cowboys are going here. It is truly terrible. Jerry Jones says the Cowboys are not selling at the deadline. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And now they're picking guys up. Is that what Panthers are trading Jonathan Mingo to the Cowboys? Wide receiver Jonathan Mingo just got traded to. What are we doing?
What are you doing? Like,
you're spending your cap space on Jonathan Mingo. I give up
because it's garbage.
I give up. Like, this is wildly irresponsible.
Yeah,
your ego is.
It's funny in sports, like whether we're talking about Gundy, SC fan and their reaction to the Maava situation, or now Jerry Jones. It's funny how simple the conversation gets when things go bad. Like, how long until Mike Gundy gets fired? Very simple question, very simple conversation. How long until Lincoln Riley gets fired at USC? Very simple question, very simple answer, very simple conversation. Now I got to ask it about Jerry Jones. How long until Jerry Jones relinquishes power? Like, you can't tell me that this dude's going to be the owner of the Cowboys till the day he dies. You can't tell me that. Like, you can't tell me this dude's not going to spend 5 years flying around the world and seeing things.
Can't do it.
You tell me that the Cowboys are in this for, what, another decade with Jerry? Like, come on.
This is a huge mistake. This is yes, Eric in Durham. Breaking trade news, Cowboys get help. Death gets Jerry Jones. Like, don't even joke about it, but this is horrendous.
It's just sad because the Cowboys should really be one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're just not.
The Dallas Cowboys, according to Todd Archer at ESPN, and I can't even wrap my head around this. Todd Archer, the Dallas Cowboys reporter for ESPN, says that Jerry Jones is saying that they are not selling at the deadline. What are you thinking that if you're not selling, and I'm being serious, this is a serious question. If you're not selling today as the Dallas Cowboys, what do you think your ceiling is this year? Because I think you're at it already. Said the player was someone that they really liked during the draft process when the player came out. Jerry Jones said the Cowboys were more likely than add a receiver today at the trade deadline.
This was 20 minutes ago.
And this is the receiver that you added at the deadline was Jonathan MFing Mingo?
Are
you serious? Like, I could have understand if you'd have got Bryce Young. Okay. Backup quarterback, guy you can develop. Okay, cool. Jonathan Mingo? He have 12 catches for 121 yards?
Now, admittedly, and I'm not disagreeing with your take overall, but this is a guy who's in a terrible spot.
He hasn't had a catch since October 13th. He's got 12 catches for 121 yards and 0 touchdowns. And this is a guy you liked during the draft process? I understand he played for Lane Train at Ole Miss, who a lot of people think will be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But are you out of your mind? This is wild to me. I truly, you guys, truly make it, Jerry. Make it.
How bad can it get with Jerry Jones, dude? Like, I mean, every year we talk about like
horrendous. It can't get worse. Ed Enriquez. I know exactly how Cowboy fans feel as I've been a lifelong Raider fan. Both owners suck. At least one's dead.
Yeah.
And I loved Al Davis. Man, dude abides. Makes you wonder if Jerry knows he doesn't have 3 to 5 years left. But what does not selling at the deadline do for you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a really bad look.
I don't know. And I do think he will hire Lane Kiffin. I think that is a very Jerry Jones hire. I've heard that repeatedly. That'd be a very Jerry Jones hire. I don't want Lane Kiffin to coach my Bears. Do I want him to coach Notre Dame? I don't want him to coach my Bears. We've been down that road.
I don't know how Jerry Jones thinks that's a good idea.
Hope that's not the case, but reckless moves are not typically random. No, they're not. Cowboys are at best 9-8, more likely 6-11. I don't think they win a division game the rest of the year. Honestly. This is wild. Stupid. We the Panthers, we suck. That's not that. They're not good. They need to trade Bryce Young today. If you're any team with a quarterback issue, the Giants, the Jets, how do you not trade for Bryce Young? How do you not at least look at it? How do you not look at it? And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it.
Because I think that you haven't shown an ability to develop quarterbacks in New York.
Night. Yes, please. Lane Kiffin to the Dallas Cowboys praying Jerry Jones will give up GM duties. To who? His son? Come on. We believe. Amazon Prime is on your phone and iPad too, but how many people know that? Prime Video. How many people? Listen, if I were the Pac-12, I would have gone all in with Amazon Prime. I think I've made that point clear. But
what's the difference, bro? Like, you're not wrong. Like, I made that point earlier in the show, but the problem is that I don't, when I think, oh, hey, live football game is on, or I'm trying to find this game or that game, I'm not thinking about Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Fuzzy balls. Shohei Ohtani seems like a real bargain at $70 million, considering Dak Prescott's making 60. But again, and I just in fuzzy balls, I will hold you in front of a tennis ball machine, one of those ones that shoots tennis balls at your D-bag.
Yeah.
And I will ask you again, explain to me why Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback. And furthermore, I'll go with the Deshaun Watson theory of life here. Are you telling me that Dak Prescott's the problem in Dallas? Because I got news for you, bud. He's not. He's not close. He's not top 10 problems in Dallas. Their injuries, their terrible decisions financially, CeeDee Lamb, the offensive line, the lack of running backs.
Bring back Zeke.
Who missed, did you guys see that Zeke didn't travel with the team Sunday or Saturday night for Sunday for disciplinary reasons? And you're pointing out Dak Prescott?
Come on, bro.
Dak Prescott's not nearly the problem in Dallas. He is not nearly the problem in Dallas. He just, my God, this is wild to me. Dak Prescott in his 9th season. Yeah. And he's one of the best passers of the football in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, Dak mouthing we effing suck after getting injured was a bad look. But again, this is DJ Moore walking off the field for the Bears. Does that ever happen in Kansas City?
Nope.
Does that ever happen in Detroit? Does that ever happen in Washington under Dan Quinn? Does it even happen with Miami when you're dying for your coach? No, it doesn't. Has it happened in Buffalo? It did. Is it happening? Is there frustration in Green Bay the other night? There was. Does it happen in Chicago every week where in the post-game media session, they're ripping the offensive coordinator for handing off to an offensive lineman on a trick play where he fumbled? It does. You know why? Because they don't have culture. Because they don't have culture. It is as simple as that.
Right.
I cannot believe the Cowboys did that. That is
inexplicable.
That is wild to me. That is wild to me. Dak can't win big games. So, how many of the interceptions in the 15 interception year, how many of those were on him? Because I'll even go to Buffalo right now. Oh, Amari Cooper, he's amazing. How many times did the ball hit him in the chest in Dallas? A lot. How many times did Deshaun Watson throw interceptions off of Amari's chest this season? I think 3. Come on, dude.
The Dak sucks take is tired.
It is.
You're going to have to do better than that.
Come on. Delaric, Dak is not the problem he should want to get out of if he wants to win.
Agreed.
But quarterbacks need to get paid. Listen, quarterbacks are only as good as the people around them. And right now in Dallas, you don't have a franchise receiver, and that includes CeeDee Lamb. You don't have a running back that would start on any other team, including Rico Dowdell. I don't know how else you go about it.
Yeah.
I really don't. One more, then I'm going to get to this ESPN Plus story. Why is it everyone's argument with football is can't win a big game? Bro, football is hard to win. It is hard to win. It is very hard to win. Very, very hard to win. We started the show with breaking news on the Pac-12. ESPN and Fox are back at the table for the Pac-12 in a TV deal that would be very heavily involving ESPN Plus. And so one of the questions that we have been bandying about over the last several months is, do you guys know what, again, Amazon Prime Sports, do you know what sports Amazon Prime has? Do you know where you get the Rich Eisen show? Do you even watch the Rich Eisen show? Because I think this is a really important question right now. If you look at where you watch sports talk, why is Jim Rome going to all the big fast channel platforms for his show? Do you guys know what fast channels are? Amazon Prime Video is a fast channel. Like they have a platform called Freevee, right? Which is where Jim Rome's show is. Roku is where Rich Eisen's show is. And my question is, how many people do you believe turn on a TV to watch sports talk? I think it's a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a ton.
Well, and I think that the manufacturers of TVs, Samsung, Sony, Vizio, LG, these manufacturers, what they've done, and I don't know how many people notice this, but like when you buy a new TV, I just bought one several months ago now, but the TV comes preloaded with the fast channel platform on the TV that has all kinds of different programming on it. So you don't even have to go and do like YouTube TV if you didn't want to, right? Like you don't have to go and do you can just get standard programming through the TV you bought, which I think is fascinating. And what's really interesting about whether it's live streaming sports or sports talk is that because work from home has become so prolific in the workforce, what people are doing is they're setting up a TV in the office, or even, obviously some folks have full-on offices at an office building. They'll set up a TV on the wall and they'll stream whatever they want, whether it's a sports talk show or otherwise. So the fast channel thing, I think, is fascinating, and I do think it's the new thing. It is the new frontier, if you will.
Because I also think when you look at, and how many people know what Amazon Prime Sports offers? They offer Thursday Night Football. But did you know that you can get the MLB season pass on there, like MLB Home Plate, I think it's called, MLB TV?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that you can get NBA League Pass? Did you know that you get WNBA? That you get all kinds of MMA? Did you know that you get WNBA League Pass on Amazon Prime Sports? Did you know that you get all kinds of live soccer? Champions League is on Amazon Prime Sports. Like, it's things that you don't even know are on. You get, like, if tennis, the World Tennis Association is on. Like, it is amazing what you don't know is available to you on Amazon Prime Sports.
How many of you guys watch the show on a TV?
Yeah, where do you guys watch the show? How many of you watch the show on a TV? Because I only watch sports talk on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to, I will occasionally listen to the Score in Chicago on my phone, but I will watch it on YouTube. I watch it on YouTube. And I'm a premium subscriber, so I don't have to watch commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many people even know that that's a thing, right? So I think it's really interesting to me that all of this stuff is happening. Like, if you think about Roku, if you think about
Pluto
TV, Samsung, LG, Tubi, Plex is a thing that I don't even know about. Plex is real.
Mm-hmm.
You look at all this stuff. I only think about YouTube TV and Amazon Prime Sports.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of NBA. I have League Pass. I watch a lot of it through Amazon Prime Sports. I'll be honest with you. Now, in YouTube TV, I generally, for things like NFL, I have the league pass. I don't go anywhere but YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, what is YouTube TV? That's the exact same thing. YouTube TV is a fast channel.
Yeah.
You don't think of it that way, but it is. So I think it's an interesting question. And if you look at like, what does Roku offer you? If you look at Roku, you get pretty much everything that you want. They offer you all of like the Netflix, ESPN, Max, Apple TV.
Roku's like an aggregator.
Yeah, that's all they do. That's all they do. And if you look at like Roku Channel, right, you can get, that's where you get the Rich Eisen show. But you also get all kinds of Roku originals, free TV movie, like all that stuff.
Yes.
I don't know that Roku is the first thing that you think about. Maybe it should be. It's probably not.
But like this is the part of the conversation that fascinates me. Like as a viewer of our show, like if you knew, just as an example, hypothetical, if you knew that you could get our show on any of these platforms, like Roku, let's say, would you go to Roku or would you still go to YouTube? Because I think that's fascinating as a viewer. What's more comfortable? Because I think that a lot of people actually use their TV because there's obviously the YouTube app and then you have YouTube TV.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of people, I know for a fact, people send us pictures all the time. I know a ton of people watch the show through their TV. And so it's interesting to me because everyone always says, well, we want more convenience. We want to find everything in one spot. So as a viewer, would it be more convenient instead of having to go to YouTube to go here, there? Like, that's what I think as far as like content consumption is concerned, is the conversation, why these fast channels are becoming more relevant in the conversation.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's get some of your thoughts in here. Geoff says, I love Rich. You can get all sports talk on YouTube now, though. You can get a lot of it on YouTube. Illumindursky, honestly, I just watched the Monty Show. Well, then we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. But how do you watch it?
Yeah, how do you guys watch it? Do you guys watch on a TV, on your phone, on an iPad? Free ad-supported television. That's what FAST means. Fast channels.
Domer, you're brilliant, bro.
Pluto and Tubi. So you do use Pluto and Tubi. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Delaric, I like Roku. It's not the best, but it does what I need it to do, which is all that matters.
Right.
That's it. Fuzzy balls. After the Monty Show, I can't handle any more sports talk for the day. And I watch on an Android. Okay. Eric and Raleigh, Champions League is Paramount Plus, and to watch Amazon, you have to pay an extra fee for Paramount Plus through Amazon. Some of you do. Those of us that are Amex Platinum members don't. They pay us.
Right.
Everybody ain't able.
Right.
Welcome to the Night Air. I'm in the office. I'll watch it on my phone when I'm working from home, a TV in my office.
Yeah,
nice.
see what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, the TV in your office setup is a thing now.
Yes, it is.
A ton of people do that.
Jay Brandon, I watch on my smart TV. Awesome. Delaric, when I'm not working, I watch on TV, but if I'm working on my tablet, okay.
See, there you go. Yeah.
And Donuts, YouTube TV, my go-to. Yeah, pretty much me too. New subscriber and liking your show so far. Well, appreciate that. What team or teams do you think the Pac-12 might pursue? I think they have to go back to the AAC.
I think they can't pursue anybody until this TV deal gets done.
I would agree with that.
I think that, you like, if you can get 8 to 10 a year. Here's the problem. I don't know, not to get too far off the fasting, but I don't know when Ed Scott said, hey, dude, they lowballed us. I don't know, was 8 to 10 the lowball? Or at that time, did they offer him like 4 to 5?
I think it was $4 million.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I think it was $4 million. Stadium Guy James, I love my YouTube TV. I was at the Baylor TCU game last Saturday watching Oak State ASU on my phone.
Yeah, that's fire.
Why were you watching Oak State play football? Okay, I'm being a jerk. BYU Hate Week. I got the YouTube TV.
Okay.
Exactly right.
That's what we call calling for a drop on this program.
I got the YouTube TV.
That's right. We'll be heavily into hating Utah and BYU tomorrow. Domer Wap, YouTube TV is not fast because it's not free. It's more like the traditional cable TV subscription model. Right. So fast means free ad-supported television. So if you watch Amazon Freebie is probably the one most people know, you'll get commercial breaks.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay for YouTube TV, you still get commercials.
Yeah.
You still get commercials. So it's almost a hybrid. What you're really paying for is, again, an aggregator.
Yeah.
Is what you're paying for. Illumindursky, I would not mind your show being available other places like Rumble. Okay. Mr. Preston, YouTube TV and my phone. Okay, so I put a video up yesterday because my Cub season tickets became official.
Right.
Mr. Preston, who is the Monty Show official auto mechanic.
Yeah.
He works on all our cars. You need a mechanic, this is your dude. He noticed the power arm on my kitchen table. So the lift gate, you know, the hydraulic arm or electric arm thing that opens and closes your lift gate on your SUV. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit. Mine's broken. So it pushes it up occasionally, never down. So I've been waiting to go to Mr. Preston because I just frankly don't have a lot of time. But I have the replacement power arm sitting on my kitchen table. So this cat over here is like, hey,
Marty.
Hey, Marty, I noticed the articulating arm on your kitchen table there. Yeah, you did.
When you bringing it on by, Marty?
Not soon enough, because it's making me crazy. I hit my head on my tailgate the other day. Not good. Trav, I watch you on YouTube TV, but I get to YouTube through my Roku.
Yeah,
a lot of Roku business.
Yeah.
Monty on the iPhone. Appreciate that. I watch Monty Show YouTube on TV and iPad, Matt Ritson says.
Yeah, see, look at all the people watching on TV.
Yeah. I watch your show on my tablet or phone.
Okay.
K. Nurin says, hit the like button, no matter where you're watching. Trav, I watch smart TV. My TV runs Roku. I get YouTube through Roku. There you go.
See? Yeah.
There you go. I've watched Monty finishing in Loretto Baja 10 miles offshore last week. Okay.
Fishing. So you were fishing off 10 miles off the
coast.
coast.
You were. That's awesome. Okay. I watched Monty fishing in Loretto Baja 10 miles offshore last week. That's amazing.
Nice, dude.
You guys, I am 18 days away from Hawaii. Cannot wait. Got my PXG fitting on Saturday. Can't wait to get my Black Ops. I got to get my game back in order. It's been cold, so I haven't been playing much. I am going to live at the range this weekend, and I cannot wait. Why would I watch the Monty Show on anything else but my phone on YouTube? My Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is amazing.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
I love the pen.
Wow.
Okay.
Excuse me, it's not a pen, it's a stylus, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stay hard.
BYU basketball is a blue blood. Okay.
Okay.
I
know KY is getting the job done for you guys.
Domer Wop.
Hey, Domer.
Oh! Cable subscription. I still got ads. Fast is more like old school OTA.
Yeah.
It is. And I love, YouTube on iPad. Sometimes YouTube on work network computer. Okay. Love that. I will tell you, for me, I pretty much only watch TV on smart TV. I don't have dish or cable anymore. During the day, I have my iPad on with YouTube TV. And usually at night, it's YouTube TV, or like I can't remember the name of the show. We've been watching this show about this guy that uses mental psychiatry to solve crimes. Amazon. I use Amazon a lot. Like watching Jim Rome. It's awkward. Jim Rome's got to figure it out. Like he's trying to change his show to fit into this 1 hour he does on fast channels. You shouldn't have done that. He has Will Blackman's co-hosting with him, the former NFL player, and it's just awkward.
Yeah,
Jim Rome with a co-host is awkward.
Well, I think that the problem is, and again, it's not personal with Will, but Will's not a host. Like Will is a former football player that is a great personality.
I would agree with that.
But the problem is that the dynamic between the two of them is Jim interviewing him for the most part. That's the problem. And it just kind of makes it weird. And it also makes it weird that Will Blackman is in a different place all the time because he's a coach now. And, some days he'll show up in a cutoff tee like he just got out the gym. And other days he's, dialed it up and is blinging. And I'm just like, dude, bro, like, this is not what Jim's show has ever been. And I understand there's evolution and, we've evolved the show and there's always changes and things that happen over time. But I think it would have been better if Jim had just done the 4th hour on his own, just on the Fast channel. Like, I never understood the need for a co-host.
Because it's something different. And he's trying to get people in. I totally get it. 100%. I totally understand it.
Yeah.
Xavier Wolf, college football is pain. The Big 12 will only get one college football playoff bid. I agree with that. Snooker. iPhone and TV. I love it. Brian Browning, Monty and his lies. Yes. That's what we're all about here. That's what we do.
This is what I'm talking about, bro. Like once a week, we'll get a rando comment from a non-member like this. Monty and his lies.
I love
Hey,
it.
do you want to clarify that a little bit, or maybe be a little more specific?
He can't, so he won't, which is fine. It's good. Snuka says, you guys still smoking, Traeger smoking? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I love my Traeger. Domer Wap, Jim Rome chasing the Pat McAfee model. I don't think so. Jim already makes so much bread on his radio show. I think he just understands. Like, you guys, how much sports radio do you guys listen to?
Notice you said radio.
Radio, not sports talk, sports radio.
And this would include listening to the score on your phone, listening to their audio feed. So it's not necessarily in your car, but just listening to a radio station's content.
I think it is very difficult to work in sports radio. iHeartMedia, which is one of the largest radio companies in the world, laid off hundreds of people yesterday. And some really good sports talk radio people.
Yeah.
Who were all doing really well, making good money, generating good money, ratings were strong, laid them off anyway. That's the problem, is it's always about shareholders, right? So sports radio took a beating yesterday. Radio in general took a beating yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about Jim Rome doing the Pat McAfee model, I don't think that's what he's doing. What I think he's doing is creating the future. Because I do think video on demand and fast channels is what the future of sports talk is.
Yeah, I just don't I think that's radio's biggest problem. You'll see some radio stations put up a video feed on YouTube, but the quality just sucks. There's no investment in it. And so you might as well not do it. And it's one of these deals where at some point radio is going to have to pivot into understanding, sure, you'll always have the signal, but we got to find, it's what I say about the Pac-12 all the time. You got to find other ways to make money besides just the one thing you do. And I think that's what Jim is doing. I think Jim is simply saying, hey, I already do, a 3-hour radio show that's nationally syndicated on a ton of different stations. This is just an opportunity without having to change a whole lot on my end to bring in more revenue, to get seen by more people, and to have something new as part of the program to make me relevant.
And I think if this Pac-12 deal we were talking about today comes to fruition, it's a massive move in the right direction for the conference.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yep.
Massive move in the right direction. And if you're $8 to $10 million, I think you're hitting a home run. And I think it is really significant that you go back to that President Kase at Washington, that watershed moment where the conference dissolved. And it really was about how much of their content could be stream only. And she wasn't there. And now we look back on it and we say, boy, that was the right move. And President Kase made the right move for Washington. And now we see where everybody's going. And I think it's only been validated. And I think it's going to be really tough for the Pac-12, I think, to compete if they are. I think the number has to be $10 million. But if you're on ESPN Plus, ESPN2, and FS1, I think you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, it's good.
That's the deal that you ideally would like to see. Phil Venzer says they go back to Rome since he was on Extra 690.
Yeah.
Phil, also a new member of the show. Phil, welcome to the family. Eric and Raleigh, I don't listen to any sports talk outside of this show anymore. Really? Well, I appreciate that, Eric. Good to see you. The only sports talk I listen to is Robert Allen, who is a sideline reporter for Oak State. When I say I have a source of information, I'm talking about him. So you don't really have a source. Xavier Wolf, wow, I hope 365 makes it. Those guys are great at covering the Big 12.
Did something happen?
Fantastic. Yeah. Did something happen?
Yeah, what do you mean?
They're already, do they do radio? I think they do. I don't know if they do radio.
I'm not sure if they're doing it now, to be honest with you, but I think at one time they did. They may still be doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Phil Venzer said, I thought membership was an automatic pay. No, you have to renew every month. I think. I don't know.
You can set it, I'm pretty sure, but you have to set it.
Fat Jesus. Pac-12 is allowed to have a TV deal. Who knew?
Yeah.
I think this is a really strong move by the Pac-12. And if you're just tuning in, this morning we have exclusive reporting on the Pac-12 TV situation. Sources have told us that ESPN and Fox are back at the table with the Pac-12. And the deal largely lives on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, as well as FS1, which will be the bulk of that, will be basketball. It's pretty much set up the way it was going to be set up anyways. A lot of the Pac-12's football content will live on ESPN Plus. Their big game will be After Dark, will be that primetime Pacific window on ESPN2, matched with the Big 12 on ESPN. For instance, again this weekend, BYU and Utah, a huge game that I would expect to draw probably 2.5 to 3 million viewers, is on ESPN. So, for instance, if you had Boise and San Diego State, big matchup in the Pac-12, that'd be on ESPN2. The afternoon window matchup would be on FS1, and the rest would be on ESPN Plus. It's a home run for the Pac-12 if they can pull that deal together. My sources told me that deal's $8 to $10 million, and the Pac-12, I think, needs it to be $10 million, which I could see happening. I think anything north of that's going to be difficult. Anything 10 million or more is a home run. I don't see, and I can't find a TV source who believes that their valuation is more than $10 million, because you're negotiating a TV deal at a time of weakness, not a time of strength.
Yeah.
So you're in this precarious cart before the horse situation. Okay, do I add new membership without a TV deal, or do I get a TV deal without new membership? So it's very difficult. And this goes back to the 50 million per team per year thing we always talked about. There was no vehicle for that. There was no way that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a home run for the Pac-12 if they can make that happen. We'll see. One never knows, right? Stadium guy James, what we have to do as fans is watch Pac-12 games and get those ratings up so their next TV deal is worth more. I think a lot of this is predicated on the Super League as well. Obviously, the Super League wouldn't include the Pac-12 because you're talking about a G5 conference. But I don't know what the appetite is for paying exorbitant amounts of media rights deals to non-power conferences. I'll continue to tell you, and I was told this yesterday again, the money is tight in TV right now. Fox is exceptionally tight. They're cutting diamonds at Fox, dude. And I get it. It's very difficult to pay large media rights deals. Very difficult. And I think ESPN is being as pragmatic as they can. The reason ESPN is willing to spend is because they're that direct-to-consumer model that'll launch July, August, September of next fall. That is their future. That is their young child that is going to grow into a full functioning adult at ESPN. That's where their main revenue is going to go. And I think they know what everybody else knows. Cable subscriptions are waning, so they have to make that money somewhere else. And that's going to be people like me who pay ESPN Plus, and I subscribe to ESPN Plus. And I think that's what you're going to see. And that number is going to creep up. My guess is we're going to get direct-to-consumer at $25 a subscriber. But who's going to say no to that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many people will say no to that. Period. Stadium guy James, for the record, RA said that QB Smith, come on, man. Danny Hernandez, you're the only channel covering the Penn State Diddy Lions story too last weekend. Main media didn't even try to go near it. Did you notice? I think it is unfortunate that you look at the situation and the free pass that James Franklin has gotten at Penn State. I'll continue to tell you
over and over and over.
I just think that it is really sad that that's where Penn State is. It is really sad, in my opinion, because I still maintain that Penn State should not have a football program. I think it's really, really sad. And that you have 2 former Penn State players now arraigned on sexual assault of a minor. And James Franklin refuses to answer questions and then sort of apologizes. It's ridiculous. And this is on top of the Micah Parsons scandal, on top of what happened while he was at Vanderbilt, on top of the Sandusky-Paterno situation. And the epicenter remains at Penn State.
Yep.
And nobody's willing to do anything. And they lose 1 game to Ohio State, and Penn State fans are calling for him to be fired during the 4th quarter. They're chanting for him to be fired. So it wasn't the sexual assault. It was that you lost to Ohio State. That's why James Franklin's got to go.
That's all they care about.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. So Brian P. Browning is back. The money will follow the talent, Monty, despite your lies and propaganda. Right? Because all we've done is be wrong about the Pac-12 situation. That's because we didn't nail that to a T on detail repeatedly for 18 months.
To the point where we were getting referenced in the national media. Like, come on.
And GCU went to the Pac-12. No, that's right. They went to the Mountain West like we told you. Come on, dude. Like, I don't know what your bone to pick with our show is, and you won't tell us. You won't tell us what we've been wrong about, but enjoy this comment because it's the last one we'll ever read from you.
Yeah.
The last one. And the talent left the Mountain West to join the Pac-12. Okay. Well, you can keep being a Pac-12 homer and hang on to that. John Canzano still does a show that you can please feel free to go listen to.
Yeah.
The propaganda. Go get it. He's the same guy that told you the Pac-12 is getting $50 million a year. Per school per year. He's the same guy that told you, hey, we're going to have George Kliavkoff on and not check him on one thing that he said. Was John Canzano right about anything? Not a single thing.
You're a homer is the first
Nothing. Dude, do you really think that we would still be here if everything we reported on the Pac-12 was wrong? Come on, dude. Welcome to the Nightmare. Remember, for 15 months.
Nice job, dude.
Monty and Jake continue to tell us things before they happen, and they have receipts to show it. We'll always hear it here first. Dude, it's all on our channel.
Yeah.
It's all on our channel. And I don't even dislike John Canzano, but the fact that he was a mouthpiece for George Kliavkoff and allowed him to go on there and do the back of the envelope calculations thing and talk about all of that nonsense. Back of the envelope calculations. And Canzano, and more to the point, John Wilner, who is a really good journalist, didn't question him on that stuff is remarkable. Remarkable. And yet we're the ones that you want to sit here and come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, since you know that all we do is lie, thanks for listening every day.
Yeah, since you seem to know all of the lies we allegedly told, but you can't detail. Yeah. Hey, by the way, who told you that Octagon began negotiations? Who told you that? I believe we told you that. We told you that. So, and that's not, by the way, that's not when Fox and ESPN came back to the table. That's not. Octagon's greatest win was getting to the bottom line with Amazon Prime Sports. Because that had to happen. And this, with all due respect, dude, this is why you're convoluted and your information sucks. Because look where you're getting it from. How did ESPN, and this is little inside information that I wasn't even going to talk about today. How did ESPN and Fox get back to the table with Pac-12? Because Amazon Prime Sports put a hard figure down and would not go past it. And so what did the people negotiating the Pac-12 TV deal do? We need to go get more money. So, and I would also say when we told you that the AAC wasn't joining the conference and you guys all the Pac-12 hyenas came in and told us didn't know what we're talking about. And they're not in the conference yet. And what did Dr. Scott at Memphis say? They lowballed us. And I told you it was $4 million. No, it's not, Monty. It's $10 million. I've heard $15 million repeatedly. There's no evidence it's ever been $15 million. In fact, there's no evidence it's ever been anything more than $8 to $10 million.
And no, your opinion is not evidence.
And the point is, what did we tell you that ESPN was offering the Pac-12 back in the day? $90 million a year. What did we tell you? What did we tell you Fox was doing, that they pulled out of negotiations? All of that has been proven true, and it's on the channel. Go look at it. Why would ESPN pay more now than they did when the conference had Oregon, Washington, Utah, SC, UCLA, all those premier brands? They wouldn't. They're not going to pay $15 million a year for a G5 conference. And I would remind you, level set, because what happens if ESPN pays the Pac-12 $12 million a year? What happens? Cost goes up for everybody else. So you really think that ESPN is going to pay the Pac-12, FS1, and ESPN, who are partners, whether, again, every Pac-12 hyena told me I'm a schmuck and I don't know what I'm talking about. But what did I warn you about? ESPN and Fox are not going to bid against each other. ESPN and Amazon are business partners. They're not going to bid against each other. What do? They talk constantly. What did I tell you the conference commissioners do? Talk constantly. Oh, that's collusion. No, it's not. They're business partners. What are they colluding? To hold fees down? They have negotiation rights. It's not collusion. It's smart business. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, you really think ESPN, who had put a hard cap at $9 million a year on the Pac-12's TV renewal before the conference melted down, without all those major brands, without the number one football team in the country currently in Oregon, you think they're going to pay $15 million a year to the Pac-12 now? No, there's not a chance that happens. Without Los Angeles, you think they're paying them $15 million a year?
No.
Come on. It's easy, Monty. Boise State fans are arrogant. I love Boise State fans. I love Boise State as an athletic department. There's a reason that they have not gotten a power conference bid. They don't bring value and equity to the table. Why did the Big 12 chase Gonzaga and UConn? Who told you that first, by the way? Yeah, I know. We don't know shit from Shinola. But why did they chase Gonzaga and UConn? Not for huge TV markets, because Storrs, Connecticut ain't it. Spokane, Washington ain't it. Because they bring basketball revenue. So if you're not going to bring me TV, you had better bring me basketball revenue. And they don't. That's why they're not in a power conference. I don't hate Boise State. It's wild to me. Anyway, Phil Venzer, Boise State fans have delusional for life. It is. Yeah. Again, tell me one. Brian, tell me one thing we've been wrong. I'm here for it, Brian. I'm giving you
waiting for specifics.
Give me a specific thing about the Pac-12 that we were wrong about. One specific thing. And if you're going to curse, you're going to get filtered by YouTube. So I would warn you against that. Got lost, Brian. Get lost. Yeah. You know, Mr. Browning, Boise State is better than many Big 12 teams, but they can't hang with Colorado or BYU. I would agree with that. I wanted Boise State in the Big 12, but it didn't happen. And it did not happen because we're talking about business. We're not talking about emotions. It's what I always tell you guys on the show. Take your emotions out of it. Why would the Big 12 add Boise State? Have that conversation out. Say the words out loud. Why would the Big 12 add Boise State? You don't have something special in market size. Manhattan, Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas. They've already got those markets. The Mountain region, they've already got those markets in triplicate. With BYU and Utah, they dominate the Mountain region. So why would the Big 12 add Boise State? There's no value proposition. So why did the Pac-12 add Boise State? Huge value proposition. Huge value proposition. Why'd they add San Diego State? Had to have Southern California in the Pac-12 market. Not optional. Why did you add Gonzaga? You needed basketball. Huge value there. Absolutely. Why did Gonzaga take the Pac-12 over the Big 12? Because they wanted a free ticket to the NCAA tournament every year.
Money.
You come into the Big 12, you're not the best. You're not probably top 5 basketball teams. You go to the Pac-12, you're the number 1 basketball brand in that league. Period. Done. Easy. Done. It's not rocket science, man. Like it is. People get so Pac-12 fans in particular. And now Boise State, and I don't know if what's your name is a Boise State fan or whatever, but you get so emotional. Take the emotion out of it. That's my advantage. I am not a fan of the Pac-12. I am not a fan of Boise State. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I have trouble taking my emotions out of it, so I get it. There's no value in Boise State to the Big 12. Never has been, never will be. It just is what it is. Brian says, up until today, Monty, you claim the Pac-12 is finished. I've never said that. Never, not one time have I said that. I said there'll never be a power conference, ever. Never said that they were finished. Never, not one time. Claim the Mountain West is winning in realignment. They absolutely are, because they're free to add more teams. Did you watch GCU last night? Winning in realignment? Absolutely, they're winning in realignment. So let me get this right. You think you're winning in realignment because you took from the Mountain West. I agree. That was a step forward. But as soon as the AAC went down, you hit the pause button. Has Gloria Nevarez hit the pause button? No, she matched you with Gonzaga.
Did the Mountain West melt down like all the Pac-12 homers said it would?
No. And here's the point that Pac-12 fan doesn't want to recognize. Is Gonzaga truly elite when it compares to GCU? Well, no, because what do you need? Whatever they did in the past, here's the thing you don't want to hang on to. What Gonzaga's done up until 2026 behind that means nothing. Because where's their tournament share go? Does it go to the Pac-12, all the tournament shares that they're earning?
Nope.
No, it stays in the WCC. Does San Diego State's Mountain West tournament share go to the Pac-12? No, it doesn't. It stays in the Mountain West. So when you talk about winning and losing, you're tied up in brand and what they've done. I'm tied up in the business end of it.
And surviving.
The business end of it is GCU goes to the tournament as much now as Gonzaga did and does, right? They're going to make as much money tournament share-wise as Gonzaga does. It's all going to come down to how far do you go in the tournament. Now, tournament-wise, Pac-12 is going to have more money if all things remain equal and San Diego State and Gonzaga and everything remains level. Obviously, in a basketball conversation, Pac-12 is in a better place. There's no question about that. But anybody writing you a script about how the death of the Mountain West is imminent, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. Do you really think that they added UTEP? Oh, UTEP sucks. Then why was the Pac-12 chasing UTEP? They never were. Yeah, they were.
And that was confirmed by multiple people.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. And here's my question. Do you think expansion's over? No, it's not. And here's my other question. Where does the Pac-12 go from here? Because you're already in legality with the Mountain West now. You're trying to sue to save money. Number two, you're going to have to sue to get it. Let's say the AAC members, let's say Memphis and South Florida and Tulane are like, yeah, sure, we'll join. Now you're going to have to sue the AAC to get out of that binding commitment that those schools agreed to.
You know what you should do instead, Brian? Instead of doing what you're doing now, you should just say that you're frustrated that the Pac-12 melted down and you wish that you were in a better spot as a conference. I could totally get down with that. But coming in here and picking on us about Pac-12 is not good for you, because our track record is bulletproof on that.
Yeah. What else? And I should read your whole comment to be fair. Claim the Mountain West is winning the realignment campaign. Said there's no media value for the PAC conference. No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
Never said that. Said all Mountain West teams who left were wrong for leaving. No, that's not what I said. I said that you're not going to get more value in the Pac-12 because it doesn't elevate you to a power conference.
And leaving for the Pac-12 and assuming that risk may not work out for you.
And it adds up to a lateral move unless you get some crazy TV deal. Because, as I said earlier, the Mountain West is going to leverage the Pac-12. They're going to level set with the Pac-12's TV deal. Because the Mountain West also has a TV deal that'll come due in 2 years.
And people like the leadership in the Mountain West far more than they like the leadership in the Pac-12.
I just think it is. I think it's very interesting that Pac-12 fans are so angry about it. You were wrong on this. You said Pac-12 wouldn't add Utah State for $2. I didn't say they wouldn't add Utah State. What I said was their charter has a stipulation in it that you cannot add universities that are under NCAA investigation, and specifically Title IX investigations. And for those of you who don't know, as we talked about on the show, Utah State has a massive scandal on their hands, and they are under not only NCAA investigation, but Department of Justice and Title IX investigation.
Listen,
for handling and reporting of sexual assault.
Bro, it's cool to come in here and hate. That's fine. Come in and share your opinion, even if it's a negative one of us. But at least know what you're talking about what we said.
Yeah.
Like, be accurate.
And then you're like, FCKS don't mention what Utah did to destroy the PAC conference. Utah stayed until the last absolute second. And live on this show, they called us to tell us they were leaving.
Utah.
The University of Utah
yeah,
called us live on the show. They stayed this is what's wrong with people like you. And now for sure, this is your last one. What you don't understand is the Utah Utes and their president and their athletic director were the only reason that conference survived as long as it did, and more teams didn't jettison earlier. Do you understand that without the leadership at the University of Utah, that final phone call where you were supposed to ratify a TV agreement never happens? It never happens. But yet Utah's responsible for the conference folding. No, I would more go to Colorado. I would more go to USC. USC ultimately
USC is the one, yeah.
Because they left and they knew they were leaving when they said no to adding those Big 12 teams. Take your emotion out of it and come back.
Thanks for listening.
Take your emotion out of it. And when you can have an analytical, real-world conversation, come back. Replica. Utah wasn't at the negotiating table, you oaf. That was George Kliavkoff.
Yeah.
Utah supported the Pac-12 as long as they could. And as we told you they would stay until the absolute last second when it became clear they could not survive. Because had they stayed, and I truly think it was another half an hour, if they had held Brett Yormark off for 30 more minutes, they'd have been out, and I think Oregon State would have been in. That's how close it was for Utah.
Yeah.
They stayed until the very last moment. So, yeah, anyway, I have to go. Always good to shut the haters up. Brian and everybody else, when you can take your emotions out of it, come back. You're always welcome on our show. I'm never going to say, oh, you can't be here. We don't block people. You're welcome to come back to the show anytime you like. But I am telling you, if you're not going to have a real-world conversation about the facts, don't come here with emotion, because you're always going to be wrong. The Monty Show, back tomorrow. A lot more BYU Utah tomorrow. Is there a conference that's going to get 4 teams into the college football playoff? I mean, outside of the Pac-12, because now they... Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.